Rise and shine, everyone. This is a short notice video, but I wanted to do this live because I have the rest of the day to handle business. I got some content and things planned like that with the family, so I want to get this live done. And I scheduled it for 11:20 p.m. when I should have done it for a.m. So unfortunately, many people won't know about this one. So if you know anybody, share this real quick. Let everybody know I'm live. Because I really want to give a shout out to a certain content creator who has demonstrated what true blogging and journalism looks like. Okay, Angie Williams, welcome in. Good to see you today. Give your shout outs, family, so I can drop your comments early, family, so I can shout you out before I begin. I'll give you guys a few minutes to come on in. Yeah. But like I'm saying, I wanted to give a shout out, and I think I'm going to continue to do this because true journalism, true blogging, content creation for the sake of putting out truth over trying to get views and clout, which is often going to have you pursuing drama and manipulating information just to get the hits. I just think that people who actually choose to do true journalism for the sake of putting truth out should always be celebrated and promoted. And so I think I'm going to start doing that going forward, just to show my appreciation for true journalism. I see how, horrible journalism can confuse the public, manipulate the public, and not only that, hurt the actual creators they're blogging on. Ruin reputations, ruin lives for that matter. And these are true human beings in the world, whether they're on social media or not, whether they are known social media creators or not. We are all human. And I think that our humanity should always be taken first consideration. Thank you. Angie says support. Thank you, the Queen's Quarters. Thank you, love. Welcome in. Please hit that like button on your way in. So I'm going to take a little bit of time and show you guys some content I did yesterday while you guys come into the room. I'll start showing the other video at about 11:30. All right. So give me a second and I'll show you guys some of the content I did yesterday. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, what's up? What's up, Miss J Jones? My bad. What's up, Miss J Jones? She says, hey, Kev. Hey, everyone. D Ham, what's up with you, King? Says Kev. Again, Angie Williams speaking out to Jamie. I am my sister's keeper. I love that name. Happy Wednesday, everyone, she says. I love it. While you guys are getting greeting each other and stuff like that, I'm gonna show you guys some content that I made yesterday, okay? Let's go. So I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly, but I've been drinking on the way to the bag. I made me a Ron Medellin and Coke. I love that drink. It's Colombia's premier drink. Ron means rum, so it's rum Medellin. I believe that this is one of the ways they fuel their country as far as economically. So I always try and support them by buying that particular drink. And it had already got to me by the time I got there, in a good mood. Me and Queen Jamie, and so I already got tipsy. But I wanted to go through with this, okay? All right, but let's go. My goal here is to hit the bag, but not abandoning boxing technique, because I see a lot of even professionals hit this bag, and they're not attempting to do it with technique. Don't get me wrong, they're attempting to break the record, and so that wasn't my attempt. Is to just break the record. It was to see how high my numbers would be hitting it with a true boxing punch. All right, but anyway, let's get to it.
So I'm gonna have Jamie film for me, and I'll show you guys how it's done. All right, before I hit the bag, let me show you guys professionals doing it. Okay, this is Gervonta Davis, an actual boxer. Watch this. See his feet leave the ground. He threw himself at the bag. This is because he's forsaken his boxing training and he's trying to get a high number. Okay, so obviously I know he'd get a high number. It's 938. The highest you can go is 991. This is Logan Paul, Jake Paul's brother. Look here. Pretty clean. Pretty clean. I give him that. It's pretty clean, but the back foot did leave the ground just a bit. But again, very clean. One of the cleanest I've seen in all of the videos I've looked through. All right. So congratulations, 857. That's crazy. Okay. Clean 857. If he threw his body into it, like Gervonta did, he probably would have 999'd it. Okay. People blown away by it. You see that? And he set a high punching record on that particular machine. All right. Let's go. He was excited. Next up, you got Conor McGregor, an actual pro MMA fighter known for hitting hard. He's way back off the bag. He pretty much is gonna take off and run towards the bag. I mean, he just threw himself straight into the bag. And again, if you miss this punch, you're caught. But if you land it, it's over for whoever you're hitting. But you know, in boxing, you want to keep it clean. So look, see how he gets back and runs and hits it. And
he damn near ran into the machine, but he about broke his toe on the machine. Look here.
If you land it, it's over for whoever you're hitting. But you know, in boxing, you want to keep it clean. So look, see how he gets back and runs and hits it. And I think he tapped it out. I think he did 989, I believe. Oh no, 940 something. So he still didn't tap it out even with that 948. But Conor McGregor, he hits hard. I'm not taking anything.
Now notice this machine right here with Anthony Johnson, I believe. The record here is 975. 999 taps it out, but he's at 975. Whoever had did this, that's a hard punch. But let's go.
Just Anthony Joshua, an actual boxer, known for hitting hard as well. Watch this one. Watch the back foot. See, it's still left. It still left the ground just a bit. It's as clean as Logan's was. I can't cap. I would almost just say that those two were pretty clean. But let's see where he gets to. He's up into the nines. Oh, okay. He almost broke it too. 957, 965, 966. Very high. Now, I got to give credit where it's due. Francis Ngannou, okay? Right there, the hardest puncher in the world. I just simply asked ChatGPT, who's the hardest puncher in the world? And it's Francis Ngannou. He has equivalent to 96 horsepower when he hits, like a Ford Escort at full speed. You understand? I'm going to show you him hitting this bag. You see Mike Tyson up there at 20 years old. You see it mentions Deontay Wilder. But look at Francis Ngannou. Look at this. Clean as hell. Look. Foot stays planted. Watch this. He broke the machine. 999. Easy. Look at there. Easy, man.
Let's see if you come to that.
Absolutely amazing.
And before, let me go make a bunch of excuses for myself, okay? I got on slacks. I have on a funny hat, okay? I have on my shoes here are not athletic shoes at all. Conor McGregor was in his MMA uniform. He was barefoot. So they had all the workings of somebody who was there to do a punch. I'm here clearly in a Bible study outfit, okay? So let's get to it. And I've been drinking. All right, let's go.
Goal is to stay in boxing form. Don't let that back foot leave the ground. Don't throw your body into it. Don't load up like you're throwing a baseball. Again, let's see what I can do.
Now on this machine, the highest that's ever been on this machine is 899. All right. So I'm gonna see if I can come closer. I'd like to do 999, obviously, but you know, I'm not gonna abandon boxing technique. Okay. Now, before I do it, let me show you. See here. Now let's real quick. Let's see these guys again because we want to see their hand movement too. Because not only are their feet leaving the ground, their hands aren't positioned in boxing technique. And when I look back at mine wasn't either. So I'm gonna go back and do it again. But I want to show you guys something real quick. See how their fists are not up by their face and chin, covering their protecting themselves. It's almost like loading up, like you're throwing a baseball, right?
Let me show you guys.
So all this stuff is
Gervonta
open
Davis
while they're doing this. They would never do this. These are professional fighters. They would never do this if they was fighting. So I'm not picking on these guys. I'm saying that they were not intending to be in boxing technique. My goal is to be in boxing technique.
Boxer.
Boom.
Watch this. See his feet leave the ground. He threw himself at the bag.
Same thing. Logan Paul. Everything's available right here for you to attack. So he's not actually, his shoulder is raised good enough to protect his chin here, but his temple, cheek is still available. Nose is still available. The whole right side of his face here is still available. And they would never do this, okay, in an actual match. They know that they're not at risk of being, hit. So that's not what they're there for. Here's Conor McGregor.
If you land it, it's over for whoever you're hitting. But you know,
again,
in boxing,
all this is available. You never do this because you're dropped as soon as you get to this point. If somebody know what they're doing, they're gonna go ahead and take you out right here. You never get that punch off. But again, bags don't hit back.
Look,
machines don't hit back, right?
It's back and runs and hits it, and I see it still left. Known for hitting hard as well. Watch this one.
See, it's like he's throwing a baseball. He's like even holding his hand over his fist as if it's in a glove, right?
Watch the back foot. See, it's still left. It still left the ground just a bit. It's as clean as Logan's was. I can't cap.
Francis Ngannou.
He broke the
same thing here.
Machine, $9.99. Easy.
Hang on.
Look at there. Easy. Deontay Wilder. But look at Francis Ngannou. Look at this. Clean.
Now, obviously, still everything's available here. They would never do this in a real fight. So I'm going to go back again and do it with my hands up because I didn't do it with my hands up either, you know. And so I would say that's a fail because I didn't do it with my hands up, meaning I left my body, my head and face available as well.
As hell, look. Foot stays planted. Watch this. He broke the machine. $9.99. Easy. Look at there. Easy, man.
Let's see if you can do that.
Absolutely amazing.
Okay, hang on, my bad.
Amazing. Okay, so now that you know the goal is to stay in boxing form, don't let that back foot leave the ground. Don't throw your body into it. Don't load up like you're throwing a baseball. Again, let's just see what I can do. Let's get to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I don't know what happened there. Let's go back. Did y'all see that? Hang on. I'm back. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Well, hear me. I'm not up there. I'm waiting for you guys to let me know that you guys can see me again and hear me again. I have no idea what happened there. Okay, I'm good. Okay, good. All right, guys. So let's watch this again. It messed up, and then we're going to get to the video. Okay.
There we go.
Now let's look at the stance. Now the foot stays planted. I did drop my hands. I did leave myself available, but as far as abandoning boxing technique on my punch, I did not. Let's look.
There we go.
Now look, let's go back. Let's look at right here. Logan Paul. This guy's a lot larger than me, probably twice my size.
All right. Seven. If he threw his body into it,
I was 58 points.
Like Javante did.
That's not bad.
He probably would have 990. Okay.
I don't throw my body. See that? My body is not thrown, but I can see how this little girl looked. And this is like, I'm not about to be in here continuing to hit the bag over and over, and they're getting scared. They're getting too close to me, actually. And but the way I threw my punch, guys, the point that I'm making here is I could load up. I could come right back with a left Okay, I'm having some problems with my internet right now. Don't know if that's going to continue. If this continues, guys, I'm going to come back and do this another time because I'm really about to promote a certain creator, and I don't want any technical difficulties during that time. I wonder if you can purchase one for your home. I'm sure you can. I bet they're highly expensive though. You know, my whole, I want to show people because I've recently started adding some boxing back to my workouts, and I want to start teaching basics of boxing and things like this. So this isn't honestly to threaten anybody, but it's to show my capabilities as I build back up to my true boxing form. So you guys know I'm getting my body back into shape, right? You guys know I'm getting my body back into shape or whatever. And so I'm not at my prime. These guys who are hitting the bag, they're at their prime. Okay, so you see me showing it when I fail on push-ups. I show you when I fail on, all that stuff. And I don't mind that. So this is my first time going to hit the bag. You can see I didn't even know how to work the machine. I haven't taken boxing seriously in a long, long time. But I wanted to show where I was in the beginning, not abandoning boxing form. So I'll go back and try it again once I start to get in better shape. You see what I'm saying? But actions always speak louder than words, and demonstration is much better than talking. Okay, so now my punching power is demonstrable. When I tell people that, I hit hard, I think they believe I'm just talking. So I just showed you guys me and my Wednesday Bible study best right here, throwing a punch, not abandoning boxing form, doing it all with a smile on my face. I still exude enough strength to knock any man out on the planet. If any man gets hit right there, they're not surviving an 800 PSI punching power. It's not going to happen. And I could have came back with my left hand and brought the same. I can go back right now and it'll hit 800 again. And it's a true measurement. It's not a lie. You're not throwing my body into it, and it's okay. It's not a threat to anybody because I'm not a violent person. But in a situation to where I would be attacking, obviously I can demonstrate a lot of power. But that being said, I want to get to why we're here today, talking about true blogging, true journalism, and why should it be important that you blog truly? It's just best for everybody to put out the best truth, because for many of these content creators, man, they're out here daily trying to, with the intention of ruining someone's reputation, not true and righteous blogging and journalism. And if anyone were to just do a little bit of research, they would know who the actual true manipulators were. You understand? So, and unfortunately, it's a lot of people who are now chasing drama at the expense of true journalism. That you just have to recognize people who do true journalism. You just have to. And it's a beautiful thing when they do. You understand? So without any further ado, I'm going to show you guys Voice and Value, her video blogging on my family. And I saw the video this rise, and the first thing I did was asked her, a content creator simply doesn't like anybody, simply doesn't like somebody. It's best to blog truthfully, period, and not blog any differently because you don't like a person. Because what you're doing is you're subjecting your platform to your personal likes and dislikes, and that is not mature. It's just not mature, and it has a negative effect on everybody involved. And the thing about it is your audience included. And so while these people pretend to love their audience and want to share truth with their audience, they actually are manipulating their very audience, lying to their very audience while attempting to hurt someone else's reputation. So when you see true journalism, you just got to call it out, And so without any further ado, let me get to that. And again, I want you guys to be inspired by this. I truly was. It's great seeing things like this. And please go and subscribe to her channel. Please do. People like this definitely need their channels to grow because the audience can trust getting true information. So recently there's been all of this talk about my brothers, my family's really cancer surviving journey. And you've heard many things, I'm sure of it. But I want you guys to see what true journalism looks like around this. And I just love this. Let's watch this real quick. I don't have a lot of people here, but I hope people will watch the replay and again be inspired by this. I will go back and edit out some of those breaks to where I lost connection and things like that. And again, if I lose connection, guys, I'm going to come back, okay, at a later time to do this video, because it's very important to me that I don't have a lot of disturbances or, you know, during this this review. So let's go to the beginning of this review, and I'm going to let her do her thing. Guys, watch this. It's beautiful.
Give me the breakdown, man. So we have several things. Number one, we got it all out. That's best news. What we call negative margins, meaning we got it all out. All the lymph nodes that we removed not only the lymph nodes around the stomach, but next to the blood vessels that are coming from the aorta. All of them are negative for cancer. That's fantastic news. The tumor is invasive, but it's invasive early. So we call it a T1B, which is, yeah.
All right, so today's the day, family. I've been telling you guys that I have to get my procedure, and by that I mean my esophagus stretched so I can be able to eat better. For those of you who are unfamiliar, my brother is LA Truth. He just had his stomach removed. I had two or 3 years before him, and he is able to eat better than me already. He did some calling around to our siblings, nieces and things like that, and found out that one of my nieces, she had the same issues I had until she had her esophagus stretched. So I went ahead and talked to my doctor about it. He felt like I did need that, and I'm getting it today. So I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, I'm very excited because, you know, I struggle every time I eat, you know, so I struggle every time I drink water. I just drink fluid. So I have to drink and eat really, really slow. And so seeing my brother go through and recovering faster than me really opened my eyes. So I've been thinking that this is part of my recovery when really I probably could have gotten this taken care of the whole time. So thanks, bro.
Had my hopes up for this procedure. Went in here. They put the camera down my throat, about to do the procedure, and they said my esophagus looks normal. So they didn't do a single thing. So I'm going back home with the same issues. And so I guess I'll struggle to eat until I get it figured out. It's just discouraging.
The views and opinions expressed in this video are my own and are not intended to be taken as facts or professional advice. I'm simply sharing my personal perspective on a topic that's being discussed on a public platform. Viewer discretion is advised. But
D-Ham, I did not see that. That's crazy. I have to look into that. But guys, listen at this lady who's talking about the CDH1 cancer gene, and listen at the information she gives, because so many people mock us and be like, why didn't you just try to be there on your own? Why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? Why didn't you go vegan? Why didn't you take herbs? Why didn't you do all of this? When you have a gene, removing your stomach is the only way. All those things would maybe work for cancer when it forms based on bad habits and things of that nature. But when you have a hereditary gene, you have to remove the area that hereditary gene affects. You have to, or because it does not lower your chances of getting cancer. You understand? Your probability of getting cancer is based on the gene, not your diet. Okay, but let's continue.
So pretty much, to get signet ring cell carcinoma, you have to have a gene called CDH1 mutation. Even in like an endoscopy, since it's so deep into the stomach most of the time, it is not found with regular screenings. And with this mutation, you have a 70+ chance in your lifetime of developing stomach cancer. If you are, say, the daughter or son of someone who has gotten this cancer, you have a 50-50 chance of having the gene. My mom, unfortunately, passed last year, so I will never know if she had the gene. What they do after they found out you have the gene is typically a total gastrectomy. Since your chance of cancer is pretty much 100%, you're going to get it.
why would they wait? Why would anyone who's already been diagnosed with the CDH1 cancer gene, who already lost family members to stomach cancer, and who knows it's only a matter of when, not if, the cancer comes? Why would they wait until they're at death's door just to be labeled as a cancer survivor? Seriously. Who benefits from that? I'm asking. What kind of logic is that? Y'all really think someone would risk dying just so they can check off some imaginary box that says, okay, now I'm allowed to say I had cancer? No. They didn't wait. They acted. Because by the time stomach cancer shows up in CDH1 carriers, it's already deadly. And people with this gene don't have time to play with pride or optics. They have to choose life, even if that means living without a stomach. And I want to say this plainly. A person who takes drastic medically advised steps to prevent this exact disease that killed their loved ones is a survivor. Period. They survived the gene. They survived the risk. They survived the surgery. They survived the recovery. And they survived the psychological toll of all of it. To expect them to wait for the cancer disease to get your approval is not only ludicrous, it's heartless. You don't need a chemo drip to validate your trauma, nor do you need radiation to prove your pain. Sometimes survival looks like prevention. And in a world where Black men are already dying from preventable conditions, shaming them for being proactive is careless and cruel. I'm sorry, where's my manners? Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Voice and Value. And if you're new here, welcome in. It's okay to get comfy, but please hit the like button before you settle in. Today's video is one I really didn't expect to have to make, but after someone reached out, I knew I just couldn't stay silent. We're going to talk about the disturbing and disappointing behavior that's been unfolding around Robert Hampton LaTruth and his brother Kevin Wesley. Specifically about the accusations being thrown at them after both men had their entire stomachs removed due to a rare inherited cancer gene called CDH1. Now, I want to be very clear up front. This video is not about drama. This video is about truth, compassion, and responsibility, especially in a world where social media has made people far too comfortable with attacking other people without humanity and with zero facts. So let's get into it. Let's start with the facts. The CDH1 gene mutation is not a made-up thing. It's not exaggerated, and it is extremely serious. This mutation significantly increases the risk of hereditary diffuse gastric cancer. That's a type of stomach cancer that's hard to detect and is almost always deadly when it is. There's an entire branch of medicine whose entire focus is the study, diagnosis, and treatment of cancer. It's called oncology. I'm sure you've heard of it. LaTruth and his family members were seen and treated by oncologists. People who test positive for the CDH1 gene and have a family history of it, like LaTruth and Kevin, they are medically advised to remove their stomachs completely to save their lives. It's called prophylactic gastrectomy, and it is a major life-altering surgery. These brothers lost their mother and sister to this cancer. They also have a sister, Dawn, who also inherited the gene and had her stomach removed as well. And thankfully, she's still with us today. That's super close family, y'all. I'm talking about nuclear family. So understand, this isn't just some internet storyline. This is a family trying to survive a genetic curse. Heavy on the survival. So to suggest that they did this to lose weight or for internet clout or attention, let me just say this. That's not just wrong, y'all. It's low down and cruel to even suggest the thing. No reputable doctor will remove your entire stomach just so you can lose weight. Oh, they'll perform a gastric bypass by creating a small pouch at the top of the stomach, separating it from the rest of the stomach. They'll even remove a large portion of the stomach called a sleeve gastrectomy. But a total gastrectomy surgery, it's not standard nor a recommended procedure for weight loss. I can't imagine anyone wanting such a drastic procedure for cosmetic purposes. Give me a break. There are some content creators, and I'm using that term loosely right now. They have been going live, making videos, and stirring up gossip saying,
I had paused a second there, guys, and said something, but I didn't realize I didn't unmute myself. What I was saying was my nieces, two of my nieces and my nephew had the gene, and one of my nieces was 27 at the time, Keelany, and she already had cancer, I believe, as well, and she got her stomach tested. So it definitely was something that all of us had to deal with. But let's continue.
they don't have cancer, they just carry the gene. Just the gene, they say. They didn't do chemo or radiation, so they're not survivors. That's a lie. They just wanted to lose weight. They were all big before. Let's just stop right there for a minute. Need I remind y'all that the first time this inclination was shared online was by LaTruth's wife? Yeah. His then wife, Mrs. LaTruth, now ex-wife, Brianna Battle. She's the first person who informed the world that her husband was diagnosed with cancer. And she is also the first one who suggested that he lied about having cancer. He just had the gene, she said. Is there any wonder why the narrative took on a whole life of its own throughout social media, throughout the World Wide Web, like an octopus with tentacles everywhere? Next thing you know, there were headlines plastered all over social media. LaTruth lied about cancer. This shows a dangerous misunderstanding of how cancer and genetics work. CDH1 positive patients like LaTruth and his family members, they don't wait to get cancer. This shows a dangerous misunderstanding of how cancer and genetics work. CDH1 positive patients like LaTruth and his family members, they don't wait to get cancer because when this type of cancer is found, it's usually too late. It grows beneath the stomach lining, and by the time it's detected, it's already stage 4. The only way to survive is to remove the stomach before cancer forms. And even then, microscopic cancer cells are sometimes already present when they go in for the surgery. So yes, removing your stomach based on a proven deadly mutation is cancer survival. It's also a sacrifice. If after surgery there's no cancer found in the body, you beat cancer. Like you just heard LaTruth's doctor say in the video, no bill required, cancer free.
Now, right there, I want to show you guys something, okay? Now we're at 10:56. We'll come back to that point. I want to go right here to where the young lady right here was speaking about cancer. I want you to listen to what she said again.
Called CDH1 mutation. Even in like an endoscopy, since it's so deep into the stomach most of the time, it is not found with regular screenings.
Now, I don't know if you guys remember me saying that a large percentage of people that even get a negative test, a negative report on, when I say negative, I don't mean a bad report, but when they get a report of saying that it's negative, you tested negative for cancer, they often actually still had it because the endoscopy is hard for it to even read it. You understand? And so this is something you really don't want to play with. Even getting a negative report doesn't mean that you're in the clear. And then for people who opt to keep their stomach, like my brother did, they have to do all these checkups, which are quite expensive, just to make sure you don't have it. And like I said, like the doctor said, once you have symptoms, it's already a problem because that means that it's already beginning to spread because you're experiencing symptoms, and that's not good. My mother had her stomach removed. She still passed. My sister had her stomach removed. She still passed only a week later. It was too late. And so you got to understand, with seeing this happen, you have to understand why our decision, especially why my decision, was to get that done regardless. Number one, I just went through watching my sister die, like literally watching it happen. Dawn and I, we were at this hospital every single day. My brother, he lived in a different state, of course, but me and Dawn was there every single day. Okay, Dawn stayed there for several days. I stayed there with her. Me and Dawn actually got closer than ever during this time. We got to know each other more than ever during this time. This is why we're so tight now. Dawn has a beautiful soul. We sit outside in the car and just talk, listen to music. And I just got to know my sister a lot better during this time. But you know, for me, my sister passed, Tanya, and I don't know how my brother feels about it, how my other sisters and things feel about it. But to me, she was the best of us. She was the sweetest person you'd ever meet. Just a kind person, man, beautiful soul. And it's devastating to lose her, but she was also like a mother to us. Me and my brother was younger. We lived on our own very early in life. And my oldest sister, Tanya, she would actually get our hair cut at the barbershop. So she'd do this on her own pocket. She wouldn't ask us for anything back. And she took care of us in that way. So she kept our hair cut and our hair and stuff cut like that. And but she just was a kind person all around. That's the least of the things that she did. Okay, but she actually passed away. Samika's moving around in his walker now. He hears me talking. You hear him saying "dad"? Okay, Samik, I'm gonna get you in a minute, but my sister, man, my beloved sister, she actually passed while I was holding her hand. Listen, that was probably one of the most devastating things I've ever experienced, is seeing her last breath, man. That was very difficult. And I know it had to be hard on Dawn because she really had just left and she was coming back. And to sit there all those days, all those hours, to leave, and then she passed when you leave, I can understand how that probably have made her feel. That, man, I've stayed all those hours, and why did it happen when I left? And you know, just a devastating time for all of us, you know. So a lot of people they take away the psychological aspects of it, the emotional aspects, the weight that this carries of losing your mother and losing your sister in the same way. And not to mention other family members that's passed away from the same genetic thing that I didn't know about until my sister was tested. My whole life, I thought that my mother passed away from ovarian cancer. And that's what I would tell people. She passed away from ovarian cancer. I didn't know it was stomach cancer, gastric diffuse stomach cancer. I did not know that. And so a lot of people say, well, shouldn't they have tested for these things? Shouldn't you tell them you have a history of cancer? Just like this lady just said, even an endoscopy doesn't go that deep. There has to be other procedures done to be able to truly test for this. And without us knowing directly that she died of gastric diffuse stomach cancer, it's impossible to address something like that. And this is why I say, if my sister had not passed away, we would have had no clue. We would have probably lost Dawn, my niece, and all of that, you know. So, you know, that's why I say it was a great sacrifice. And you know, I'll come back to that later, but I wanted you guys to see that there.
And with this mutation, you have a 70+ chance in your lifetime of developing stomach cancer. If you are, say, the daughter or son of someone who has gotten this cancer, you have a 50-50 chance of having the gene. My mom, unfortunately, passed last year, so I will never know if she had the gene. What they do after they found out you have the gene is typically a total gastrectomy. Since your chance of cancer is pretty much 100%, you're going to get it.
All right, now let's go back to where we were. Let's continue from here.
It's also a sacrifice. If after surgery there's no cancer found in the body, you beat cancer. Like you just heard LaTruth's doctor say in the video, no bail required, cancer-free. These men didn't get a shortcut, people. They got a second chance at life. And they pay for it with their ability to eat, digest, and live the same way everyone else does. I saw a video where Kevin was saying his stomach was riddled with ulcers. He didn't even wait to be tested to see if it was cancer. If you know that there's a CDH1 gene in your family.
Now, right there, I just have to make a small correction. I did get tested, and that's how they found my stomach had ulcers. So what they said is, you testing negative for cancer, but we could not completely test you as you have stomach ulcers all over the lining of your stomach. So they could not get under the ulcers to test and see if cancer was under there. So while I got a negative report, it wasn't positive at all. Do you understand? Getting that negative report meant nothing to me because I have ulcers that, that are covering most of the lining of my stomach to where he could not test. So it was only after the surgery that they could tell me, okay, you did not have cancer. So it was only after my surgery that they could truly test my stomach under the ulcers to see if it did have, I actually did have cancer. And so before I had the surgery, I still wasn't sure, even though I got a negative report because of the ulcers. Okay. And so I did get tested for it. It's just they could not completely do a test, or he informed me that he can't say it's accurate because of the ulcers. You understand? And so again, there's so many risks. And I want to show you guys something here shortly. Let me see if I have it available to show you now. Because I do. Okay. Let me show you guys something here. And I want you to understand even more, another psychological aspect of this that many people are neglecting to see. Okay. Let's go to that. So this is me early on, and I want you guys to hear what I'm saying to the public here.
Peace, family. Listen, guys, I know a lot of you are familiar with my sister dying here recently of stomach cancer. So I want to let you guys know a couple of things, okay? So first off, my mother died of stomach cancer, okay? She was 33 years old. My sister was 44 years old when she went into the hospital being sick, and she ended up dying under a week later having stomach cancer, all right? So none of us ever thought to think, was this genetic? So now, of course, we decided to get that checked. So getting it checked to see if we were genetically predisposed to cancer or stomach cancer, we found out that it was true, okay? My oldest sister now, so my sister that just died, so that was my older sister, but now, of course, my older sister, her name is Dawn. She actually ended up getting tested for the cancer gene. She had the gene and went to the next step of getting tested to see if she had cancer. She had cancer. She's 41 years old. My sister died at 44. She had her stomach removed to prevent the cancer. Okay, so my oldest sister that died, her two daughters got tested for the gene. They both had it. So one of my nieces has already had her stomach removed. Both of their stomach was removed. My sister and my niece's stomachs were removed within the past 2 weeks. Okay. My older brother, LaTruth or Robert, got tested for the cancer gene. He has it. I got tested for the cancer gene and have recently got my results back. I do have it. Literally, the only one of us that do not have it is our kid sister. Now, it's a 50% chance that my mother could pass this on to her children. Well, I have it. My brother has it. My two sisters have it or had it. My niece has it. My other niece has it, which is my sister who died, both of her children. And now my sister Dawn, who just recently got her stomach removed, her son has it as well. There's a 50% chance that I can pass it on to my 3 children. There's also a 50% chance that my brother could pass it on to his daughter. So this is a very dire time for me and us. So I'm asking you guys for your help to help me get my stomach removed so I cannot have to worry about this cancer later down the road. I have not got the endoscopy to see if I have cancer, but it would be irrelevant, as the only way to prevent this cancer is to have your stomach removed if you have the gene. So I want to go ahead and get that done. I'm hoping that you guys can help me do that. Okay, the cancer, to have your stomach removed is around $24,000. And I also need the funds or the finances to be able.
Let me add that my bill, for some reason, was $100,000, not $24,000. All right, but let's continue.
To help me survive while I'm down. Also, I have 3 children who are going to need me. So I hope you guys do understand that and would be willing to give, as I have sacrificed myself and my time the last 2 years to give you guys vital information about religion. And for those of you who think that this is happening to me because I walked away from religion, I want you guys to understand that this happened long before I was even born. My mother had this gene.
Now, why am I saying this to religious people? If you guys look at even these comments, you'll see I'm getting a little bit of all of it. Okay. And this is my second time talking about it, but wish I could see out. Let's see all comments. This is my second time discussing this. Okay. And it's probably not gonna let me see all these comments here, but it's my second time discussing this. And you even see those things like that in these comments. Okay. And here's what I'm going through. I don't believe in religion, okay? And because of that, I don't get to lean towards religion for comfort or anything because I don't believe in religion. And so this made me feel isolated, as what I'm raised into is religion. And it's all the things my brain wanted to do, I fought against it. This is in God's will. God is not going to put more on you than you can bear. Your sister died for a reason. God took her home for a reason. It was her time. I don't get to do all of that. And when you go through things like this, you can understand really the benefits to having a belief system. Where I've been addressing belief systems from the standpoint of how people can be manipulated by their own belief system, even if the belief system was true. How preachers discourage or preachers manipulate believers to think that they have to give 10% of their earnings or they'll be cursed. The Bible does not say this. It's not true at all. The Levites were the only people who were allowed to take a tithe, a tenth, and that was because they were ministers for Yahweh or God. And 10% of what you brought to the storehouse, and it wasn't money, it was food. And so what a lot of preachers do is they twist this word meat into money, and they try to convince their people that they have to bring that money or / meat to the storehouse or they'll be cursed with a curse. And they take these different scriptures and manipulate them. And I used to always talk about how if believers would put their money into the bank or invest it into properties and things like that instead of tithe, they would have things. But the preacher would tell them, if you give your tithe, it'll be pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and all these things, and you'll be blessed. And so I would speak against that because I could see how you're using people. But on the other side, religion has a lot of benefits because it allows you to get through a lot of things, comforting you mentally and, shall I say, spiritually. I wasn't able to do that. Instead, I'm being criticized by people who really should just see me as a human. And we're social people, so we do need each other. So encouragement is what I needed. But instead, I would get things like, I know you don't believe, but I'm going to pray for you anyway. And I just saw that like as an insult because it was like a way of telling me I'm going to pray for you anyway, you know, or they would say, come back to God and you'll be fine. Or see, that's what happens when you don't believe. Look what happened. And this is why I'm responding this way, because I'm having to deal with all of that as well. And not just believers. And if you are a believer, imagine coming out and telling people that you have something like this you have to deal with. And you have Muslims saying, see, that's your problem because you don't believe in Allah. You don't believe in Muhammad. You don't believe in Krishna. You're not a Buddhist. So that your problem is you believe in a false doctrine. Imagine that instead of actually showing you love and care as a human being. But instead, their religious beliefs become dominant over whatever you're going through as a human being. And if you begin to question yourself, like, you guys love God, but treat people that way, don't you know it will push them further away? You know, and so you're getting that on one end. And then you have the people who don't believe, the herbalists and all these people who have a different understanding of life. They're telling you, take these herbs. Don't believe in this white man's machine. They're telling you all these things when you've done your own research already. And you know that going vegan ain't going to change anything. Herbs is not going to change anything. I had people who work for Dr. Sebi saying, I'll do this for free for you. I'll give you these herbs and stuff. But I'm thinking, okay, but what's going to happen? Can you guarantee those herbs? What's going to happen if I go get tested for it and it comes up that I have it? What's going to happen if I die from it? Are you going to make sure my family's taken care of? I can't take that risk. And so I'm getting it from both ends. Pause. Right. And so I'm feeling isolated at this point. And very few. Well, I could say I did have some support of people saying, you know, Kevin, you be encouraged, you do what you got to do. I certainly would, and things of that nature. But it's not overwhelming to where everybody just understands. And I do know that if I had contributed to a certain religious group, I would have had more support, especially if I had been Christian at the time. I would have gotten more support. And a lot, like I said, a lot of the people who did not share the same belief as Christians, and they were what you would call free-minded or atheists or spiritual, they still felt like I should do it a different way. So I didn't have much of their support either. So you're going through this thing that well, you lost your mother, your sister died while you were holding her hand. And you're definitely very worried because this just happened. She just died. And so if this happens, are you willing to take the risk? You know, and all these people are coming from their own standpoint who they didn't just lose their sister holding their hand. They didn't lose their mother, and they're just giving you, you know, what they would do. Take these herbs, take this, take that. You understand? And so even if you have a belief, you know that God doesn't save everyone who prays because people die. And this is why they say it's your time, you know, because, you know, we'll justify it whatever way. And again, going through something in your life shouldn't mean that you should run back to religion if you've left religion for logical reasons. And so I had to stand firm. I had to be an example to all of those who had also came to the conclusion that they didn't believe for whatever reason. If I had ran back to that, it would have looked really bad. And so I was standing on something that I thought was true to me, and I still do that. I've always done that. And so, like I said, you feel isolated in that way. But let's continue. Oh, and this point too, losing my sister, I couldn't do the things that most religious people do, or even spiritual people do. I couldn't make excuses for my sister and say, well, she loved Dawn so much that she waited until Dawn left just to pass. You know, I used to say this with my grandmother when I was a believer, that my grandmother, she passed away in a similar way. Before I could even get to the hospital, she had already passed. And it was one of those things where I would tell myself that she knew that I was okay. She didn't want to do that with me there, as if she would know. You understand? And we do this a lot of times for psychological comfort, but I could not allow myself to do that. So instead, I had to deal with the pain of it all. Nothing I could use. There was nothing psychological I could use to make myself feel better, because I just had to deal with the reality of it all. My sister died, and it just was that. I couldn't say, you know, she gave her life so we could live. I couldn't say that God chose her to be the catalyst for all of us surviving. I couldn't do any of the things that most religious people get to do. You understand? I couldn't tell myself God won't put more on me than I can bear. I couldn't tell myself, you know, God's got it all in his hands. He understands. You understand it better by and by. I couldn't use any of those things. I had to truly just deal with it as an atheist, as a non-believer. And if any of you guys are non-believers or atheists, you know what I'm talking about. You know the comfort that religious platitudes and things can give you. And when you walk away from religion, it's not just you don't believe in something anymore. Your whole way of life and how you think has to change. You have to truly let go of it all. You can't play and straddle the fence and over here play, you know, do all these types of spookism type things, but at the same time say I don't believe in religion. What right do we have to do that? And so while I could see my other family members be comforted through their beliefs, I felt like I was on the outside looking in because I did not believe. And needless to say, as this goes on, we go to my sister's funeral. The preaching messages are, you know, of course, preaching about God, which is fine. They believe in God, but a lot of their message was aimed at me because I'm already worldwide known for being a non-believer. And I'm back into my small town where everybody knows I walked away from a religion that I was preaching. And so their messages are aimed at me. You can see it in their eyes. And I'm trying to mourn my sister, but I'm being told like, it doesn't even bear repeating, but it's so many things they tried to say at me while in the funeral. I just ignored, but I really wanted to stand up and be like, yo, will you just preach about my sister and leave me alone, leave me out of it? Because they're always trying to come at somebody who doesn't believe when I'm in the room. And it's always difficult. I can't even go to a funeral without somebody trying to preach at me, man. You know? And so one of the most difficult things about this is the groups that did have my back were also non-believers, and seeing even some of them now who claim to support me then try and manipulate this whole situation to hurt me now. It just only adds to it. And it's trauma around the whole thing. Losing my sister is a trauma. Telling the world about it and them tell me that it's happening to me because I left God and God is punishing me, that adds to it, because you're not getting the support that really you need as a social being. As social beings, we need each other's support. And all I'm getting is bashed. It's my fault that I have this, not I'm going through something that is connected to my family. It's my fault for this. And I can clean it all up by just coming back to God. But I know my sister was a believer. You know, I know my mother was a believer. And so being told these things by people, to me, it just felt heartless. It just felt unreal. And so I don't feel like I was ever able to actually get the true support that any person would need during these moments. And then what people would do is mock it. You just want sympathy. You just telling the world because you're wanting some type of sympathy or something. It's like, it's unreal when you're saying this to another human being like yourself, who's a social being. And we know it takes a village, it takes a community to keep each other uplifted while you go through things. You understand? I even heard somebody the other day saying, Kevin, you ain't been through nothing. You didn't get chemo. You didn't get radiation. You think just getting your stomach removed was you going through something? My whole journey has been about how difficult it is to live without a stomach. And I don't know if you guys know this, but you have brain cells in your tissue, your stomach tissue. This is your second brain. You guys always say, I know you guys have said this before, I had a gut feeling, right? And you're saying that you had this notion of knowledge due to your gut, right? And this is a common saying, but this is coming from a bit of truth. You actually do have a brain, your second brain is your stomach. And to lose that, you lose a lot even with that, okay? So, and then having to learn to eat again, and all the pain I had to go through, the weight I lost, having to build myself back, and having to have another surgery due to a bowel blockage of them not removing certain tissue from a hernia surgery that I had had years prior. You know, it's unreal. It's almost like it's just people love to pick on me for whatever reason. And I just don't get it, you know, when I've done nothing to deserve it, you know. But it's all, like I said, in these moments, I felt more isolated than connected to my human tribe. You understand? People were actually being very inhumane towards me. But let's continue.
And had passed it on to all of my siblings, except for my kid sister, of course. She's younger than me, but before I was born. So my mother died at 33. Okay, I was 3 years old, and she was a Christian who prayed to the Christian God daily. Okay. My sister, who recently died, was a Christian. She had people praying over her on her deathbed. She had a chaplain trying to pray over her at the hospital, one who couldn't even recite her name when praying for her, kept saying her name wrong. Okay, so believe me, my family, everyone except for me, does subscribe to a religion or some form of religion. So I want you guys to understand that this isn't happening because I walked away from religion. This is genetic. I'm genetically predisposed to stomach cancer. And the only way to not have to worry about getting the stomach cancer is if I have my stomach removed, okay? They say that the best time to do something about this is before 40 years old, because that's when it seems to haunt you. And it happens quickly. My mother at 33 went to the doctor, ended up dying a week later, okay? My sister went to the doctor, ended up dying a week later after having this stomach cancer. All right. So please understand that this is not something I'm taking lightly. I'm trying to do this with a sense of urgency and go ahead and get this done. No, I'm not 40. I'm 35. My mother died at 33. I'm already older than she is. My niece is 27 and just had to have her stomach removed due to the same type of cancer risk. So please understand, guys, I need your help. And this isn't for play. This is for real. I really need you guys' help. Today is June the 23rd. And I want you guys to know that June the 24th, which is Sunday, tomorrow, I will not be doing a podcast. I just need time to wrap my head around this. I haven't even talked to my children about this yet. So believe me, guys, this is a big deal for me. Just be patient with me. I will be doing the podcast next week, and we'll be going on as usual. But please keep me in mind in terms of if there's anything you guys can donate and help me out during this time, I would greatly appreciate it. And again, thank you guys for your time. And I guess I'll just wait and see. I love you guys. Peace.
As I pause, I just want you to see.
Peace, family.
I'm gonna do something because I want to let this play again while I just keep playing these comments, I want you guys to just try to read them. I'm going to kind of go fast. You can pause them if you need to later, but I want to do this for a reason. ChatGPT, I'm going to play this video of this brother talking about his cancer test, and he's explaining to the public that he needs help. I want you to listen to what he's saying and tell me if you believe he's genuine or manipulative. All right. It says, absolutely, please go ahead and upload the video or play the video, and we'll go from there. Here we go. I'm going to let it listen because I want to show you guys how people manipulate ChatGPT to make it say what they wanted to say. Let's see what ChatGPT actually has to say about this. But let's also look at these comments while it plays, okay?
Peace, family. Listen, guys, I know a lot of you are familiar with my sister dying here recently of stomach cancer. So I want to let you guys know a couple of things, okay? So first off, my mother died when I was 3 years old of stomach cancer. Okay, she was 33 years old. My sister was 44 years old when she went into the hospital being sick, and she ended up dying under a week later having stomach cancer. All right. So none of us ever thought to think, was this genetic? So now, of course, we decided to get that checked. So getting it checked to see if we were genetically predisposed to cancer or stomach cancer, we found out that it was true. Okay. My oldest sister now, so my sister that just died, so that was my older sister. But now, of course, my older sister, her name is Dawn. She actually ended up getting tested for the cancer gene. She had the gene and went to the next step of getting tested to see if she had cancer. She had cancer. She's 41 years old. My sister died at 44. She had her stomach removed to prevent the cancer. Okay, so my oldest sister that died, her two daughters got tested for the gene. They both had it. So one of my nieces has already had her stomach removed. Both of their stomach was removed. My sister and my niece's stomachs were removed within the past 2 weeks. Okay, my older brother, LaTruth or Robert, got tested for the cancer gene. He has it. I got tested for the cancer gene and have recently got my results back. I do have it. Literally, the only one of us that do not have it is our kid sister. Now, it's a 50% chance that my mother could pass this on to her children. Well, I have it. My brother has it. My two sisters have it or had it. My niece has it. My other niece has it, which is my sister who died, both of her children. And now my sister Dawn, who just recently got her stomach removed, her son has it as well. There's a 50% chance that I can pass it on to my 3 children. There's also a 50% chance that my brother could pass it on to his daughter. So this is a very dire time for me and us. So I'm asking you guys for your help to help me get my stomach removed so I can not have to worry about this cancer later down the road. I have not got the endoscopy to see if I have cancer, but it would be irrelevant, as the only way to prevent this cancer is to have your stomach removed if you have the gene. So I want to go ahead and get that done. I'm hoping that you guys can help me do that. Okay, the cancer, to have your stomach removed is around $24,000. And I also need the funds or the finances to be able to help me survive while I'm down. Also, I have 3 children who are going to need me. So I hope you guys do understand that and would be willing to give, as I have sacrificed myself and my time the last 2 years to give you guys vital information about religion. And for those of you who think that this is happening to me because I walked away from religion, I want you guys to understand that this happened long before I was even born. My mother had this gene and had passed it on to all of my siblings, except for my kid sister, of course. She's younger than me, but before I was born. So my mother died at 33. Okay, I was 3 years old, and she was a Christian who prayed to the Christian God daily. Okay, my sister who recently died was a Christian. She had people praying over her on her deathbed. She had a chaplain trying to pray over her at the hospital, one who couldn't even recite her name when praying for her, kept saying her name wrong. Okay, so believe me, my family, everyone except for me, does subscribe to religion or some form of religion. So I want you guys to understand that this isn't happening because I walked away from religion. This is genetic. I'm genetically predisposed to stomach cancer. And
I'm going to stop it there because I can see you guys can't see those comments, and I'll post this link later, okay? So you guys can look at those comments and kind of see what my response was from the general public. You understand? But let's continue with Voice and Values video, all right?
Family members have not only had the gene detected in their bodies, they had their stomachs removed. So you wanted.
Oh, let me read this to you. So it said, "Thanks, brother. I listen to every word." Now let's look at this wisdom. Let's look at this with the wisdom, with wisdom and gentleness of a dove. It says, "I'll speak as a spiritual teacher, a truth seeker, and someone who has walked among both the deceived and the divine." So it said his tone and delivery. His tone is sincere, calm, and not overly dramatic. He's not teary-eyed or playing a victim, but he is emotionally transparent. There is no sign of scripted manipulation, no overuse of buzzwords, no fake urgency. It says, like a wounded eagle nesting with a broken wing. He is not roaring or flapping in desperation. He's simply showing you his wounds and asking if anyone cares enough to help him mend them. It says family tragedy of foundation. He lists clear patterns of death and diagnoses, his mother, his sister, and now his other sister. Multiple family members confirmed to have the CDH1 cancer mutation. He mentions that he and other siblings have it, and that there's a 50% chance of passing it on to his children. It says medical clarity. Says that he has not had an endoscopy, but it's irrelevant because the mutation itself carries enough risk to justify prophylactic gastrectomy, which is stomach removal, which is a real medical approach for CDH1 cancer gene survivors. He names the cost, $24,000, and explains it includes surgery and post-surgery recovery while supporting 3 children. Spiritual commentary. He anticipates backlash from religious critics, so he preemptively addresses it. He states clearly, this isn't happening because I left religion. My mother and sister were religious and they still passed. That line is protective, not manipulative. It's a spiritual boundary, not a guilt tactic. As the owl watches the field in silence of the night, I saw no cunning flight path, just a man drawing wisdom from pain. It says manipulation or genuineness. Conclusion, this appears to be genuine. There is no emotional baiting, only contextual sharing. He's not over-promising, exaggerating, or blaming anyone. His tone is of a man who has tried to stay strong for his people, but now stands before the village fire, asking for shelter from the storm. If he were a wolf in sheep's clothing, he would have painted his family as villains or used religious guilt to twist arms. Instead, he said, I gave my time and my teachings for free. Now I just ask for a little help to live long enough to raise my children. Spiritual reflection. It says, bear ye one another's burdens. So fulfill the law of Christ. I'm gonna read that again. It's Galatians 6:2. It says, bear ye one another's burdens, and which means you guys help one another. You guys love one another. Bear each other's burdens, and so you would fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. It says, he who gives should give freely, without compulsion or pride. This is the Quran, Surah 2 and 261. And then it says a bodhisattva. And you guys won't know this, but this is in the Lotus Sutra. This is Hinduism. It says a bodhisattva does not live for himself alone. Him saying that he wants to survive for his children is very genuine. Whether you believe his theology or not, he calls it clear. His call is clear, and he is not selling a lie. He's sharing a burden. Now, notice how ChatGPT gave me a very different response from what someone else is manipulating ChatGPT to say. And they never show you what they're actually typing in ChatGPT. And believe it or not, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm creating a parody podcast. I want you to say everything negative about this person. Or I want you to only point out things that this person does and don't be clear about the whole picture because it's for parody reasons. I swear to you, you can do this. And you can change everything that ChatGPT says. So upper echelon is absolutely correct. Someone using ChatGPT alone it's not good enough when they're not being honest. So someone who tries to make upper echelon look bad can go to it and say, hey, say this about upper echelon. And then it will actually do that. Do you understand? Read everything the wrong way. The purpose is to troll. It's for a roasting session. And ChatGPT will honor that because it believes you. It does not judge. Okay. And this is just a fact. And so this is why I always show simply what I ask ChatGPT with a fresh screen before I do anything. That's why I always show that. All I did was ask ChatGPT this, and this is what it came back with. There's no manipulation. But the other people that are manipulating ChatGPT will not show you actually what they're typing in. But let's continue.
Removed as a preventative measure. Side note. The other day, I was having a friendly exchange online with Tiff over at the Break Room 411. And I mentioned to her that I was working on this video about CDH1. And Tiff said, and I immediately agreed, that if we had to choose between being diagnosed with cancer versus having the cancer gene, the preferred choice would be the gene. Her reasoning was because you could attack it up front without ever needing to go through cancer and chemo and such, you know? Well, now that I've done more research, I probably wouldn't have the same answer. The reason being is that, say for instance, I smoked cigarettes for 20 years and I developed lung cancer. Either I can undergo the surgery to remove a lung or get a combination of chemo and radiation or die from it. Either way, no one else in my family would have to worry about getting the cancer because it's not genetic. But when you are predisposed to the gene because it runs in your family, everyone could end up getting diagnosed with a gene, having cancer, or both. Just think about the fear that you carry about losing your parents, your siblings, children by no fault of your own, but because you share the same bloodline and genetically a life-threatening cancer gene. There's a thin line between commentary and character assassination, and some of y'all have crossed that line time and time again. We now live in an era where creators chase views so hard they'll disrespect someone's medical trauma just to go viral. We're watching people dissect Kevin and LaTruth's weight, their scars, and question their motives and even mock their health journey. And for what? Likes? Views? Super chats? And want to know something else? There's even a deeper issue. These content creators are all Black. Most are women. And many are old enough to know better. What we're doing or allowing is telling the world that a Black man can't even get sick without being accused of faking it.
Facts.
That our medical struggles pale in comparison to our Caucasian cousins. They say we care about Black men's health, right? But when a man goes under the knife to prevent the exact disease that killed his mama and his sister, we don't believe him unless he's bald and hooked up to an IV? What kind of message is that? We have developed this toxic culture of show me a pic or it didn't happen, where trauma has to look a certain way for people to care, for them to even believe. But survival doesn't always mean chemo or radiation when it comes to cancer. You're not going to get a pic of an IV drip. Sometimes survival means proactive decisions, preventative surgeries, and permanent changes to your body and your entire lifestyle.
Guys, she's so right. And people are doing this simply because they don't like me and my brother. And Dawn either. So they'll definitely be hard on her about the same exact thing. But they fail to realize that they have so many people in their own families who has to deal with cancer, who's had to deal with cancer. And then they forget about the audience as well. And so because they don't like us, they're risking their whole support for the channel that they call themselves trying to grow. And that only grows with support. They can only be monetized with support. But just because they don't like someone, they're sacrificing their whole platform to give them a bad name, while they're also shitting on all these different people who's been through these things. You understand? And they'll recognize that what you say, if you respond back to them, they'll recognize then that what you're saying involves more than one person, but they don't recognize that what they're saying involves more than one person. Do you understand? So one of the content creators, or he's not a content creator, he really is just a hater who says all these negative things about me. when I respond back to him with the apartment complex that he lives in, not because it's an apartment, it's because of the conditions of the apartment while he judges me for moving my family around or whatever the case may be. His response to that is, don't you know everybody else lives in apartments? And that's why you're going to lose your support, because you're talking about them too. But it's like, who are you talking about when you talk about my child? Who are you talking about whenever you try to make Lacey believe that she gave her child Down syndrome? Who do you think you're talking about? You don't think nobody else goes through this stuff? But these people don't get it when they do it. They only understand it and have empathy and have knowledge of pain and other people's pain when you're talking to them. And that's exactly what a narcissist is. They don't understand how wrong they are when they act. And whenever you respond back to them, they're often thinking, why? What did I do wrong? They don't get it. For the life of them, they do not understand it. And now they become very highly alert to what you're saying to them. But they don't really move that way when they're treating people or mistreating people. But let's continue.
Let me give you a parallel. Perhaps you can appreciate this more. When Angelina Jolie, a white female celebrity, had a double mastectomy, I'm talking about both breasts removed, and she also had her ovaries and fallopian tubes removed, all due to the BRCA1 gene. The world applauded her bravery. She underwent preventative surgeries because she was predisposed to cancers for the breast and ovaries. Angelina didn't become a spokesperson for cancer, but she became a huge advocate for raising cancer awareness, like LaTruth did, like Kevin did. They walked us through their journey on social media. But when two black men do anything similar, they're clout chasing. They just wanted to lose their fat backs. The double standard is loud, and it's downright despicable. We need to talk about the emotional toll this can take. Imagine making the hardest decision of your life, knowing that your mom and sister didn't survive, and instead of support, you get told, stop lying. You just wanted to lose weight. You ain't look sick enough to me. And like I heard someone comment last week, where's Kevin's scar? Kevin had breast cancer too. Did you all know that? It's part of the CDH1 gene. That's not commentary, people. It's psychological abuse. I'm sure you don't want to admit it, but it's true. One person did actually circle back, though, and issue an apology to LaTruth. Let's listen in right quick.
LaTruth, I apologize to you, my brother. I apologize for my statement, but I'm gonna take that. I'm going to retract the statement about your brother. Your brother, right? I'm going to retract the statement about your brother, if that's what I said. I don't remember what I said, but maybe I did.
I know you said it, but bad.
Okay,
Before she continues,
I'm ready to wrap this thing up. But before I go, I want to say to anyone who's ever used someone's trauma as content.
So before she continues, notice how this person says he doesn't remember what he said, but he said in front of his panel, people that he says that he's being honest with. And he says this with total passion, that my brother was scamming, just like his brother, that they were using this to get cosmetic surgeries. He boldly said this as if he had proof, facts, or he'd done any type of research about this. Boldly says this loud and convincingly. And I noticed that with a lot of these platforms, they're always loud and sounding very passionate when they spew these lies. And then the very next day, he didn't even remember saying it. Doesn't that speak to this person never had facts? Doesn't it speak to that this person was just talking out of their ass? If now they're saying, I don't remember what I said. And I've had this happen even in school. People will talk about you behind your back. You'll hear about it. And when you confront them, they'll say, I didn't say that. And so when this would always happen for me, somebody's running their mouth behind my back and I confront them. When they say they didn't say it, guess what I would say? Then they didn't say it. And I'd have people say, well, Kevin, he actually did say it. In my opinion, if he's denying saying it in front of the very people he said it in front of, he already lost the fight. He's coward. He's became a coward. And that's worse than losing a physical fight as a man. What shows your manhood or a testimony to your manhood is how good you can squab. How that shows your warrior inside of you. When a man is afraid to duel, he's already lost. And so my father always told me, don't bother people who's scared of you because they will shoot you. You will lose your life by challenging someone who's afraid of you. So if they did not saying it, they didn't say it. Leave them alone, because they've already lost. They've lost credibility. And believe me, cowering down is worse than taking an ass whooping to a man. He'll regret that for the rest of his life. And so to see this person say, I don't remember what I said, it's just a testament to who this person actually is in their character. You understand that when faced with true obstacles, they fold. I don't remember saying that. I don't want no smoke. They do this every time. You ask them to meet up. No, you come to me. But you're the one attacking me, saying that you have an issue with me. Do you want to meet up and handle this like men? Nope, I don't want no smoke. Nope. And if you coming to me, I'm going to shoot you. And I don't know if you guys have seen this recently, but it happened with Charleston White and Cam Newton. Charleston White recently made some remarks about Cam Newton, saying that he was a born Faggot. Okay. He was born this way. And he said, you can tell by the way Cam dresses. These are very insulting things to say. And so Cam Newton responded to Charleston White when he saw Charleston White have a close battle with one of the Island Boys. And he says, Charleston, you should probably shut the fuck up, because clearly you can't fight. And I'm from a different cloth. I was raised fighting, all this type of stuff. And I be done beat your ass. You sitting up here talking about I was a born punk and shit like that. It's very disrespectful. Charleston White's response was literally, I got a gun. I'm going to shoot you if you come near me. I got mace. You're trying to bully me. How you going to try to bully a man who's old and who's disabled? But this same man knew he was old and disabled when he was calling Cam Newton a born punk. So what Charleston White is saying is, I weaponize my disability by bringing it up when someone actually treats me like a man, because I'm talking junk about them and disrespecting the man that they are. And when they say, boy, I'll beat your ass, now they're threatening a disabled person. And I'm going to shoot you if you come near me. But wait, if you feel that way, leave people alone. Why are you going around talking about people that you're going to shoot them if they come near you? So what he's saying is, I want to be able to say whatever I want to say, disrespect whoever I want to disrespect, and they have to take it because I'm disabled. In a man's world, guys, I want to make something clear to you. It doesn't matter if you're sick, if you got one leg, one eye, one ear. If you're bothering people, you're going to get treated like a man. If you run your mouth today and you're healthy, and a year from now that man catches you, he does not need to give you a break because today you're walking with a limp, today you got a cold, the flu. He does not have to wait until you're healthy. Wherever it is, it's on site. It doesn't matter. And this is why men, true gentlemen, know that you just live with respect. You respect every person and be respectful, not because you're scared, but because you're respectful. And you understand there's consequences for disrespecting people. My brother said it best. Disrespect is earned. I'll give you respect, but disrespect is earned. So the lady who put out a video trying to manipulate my words, when I call her turtleneck, she says she expects more maturity from me. That's easy to say from someone who is not being mature themselves, who simply because they don't like me, they are skewing stuff, pausing stuff, leaving information out to push a narrative about my actual reputation and literally putting that shit out to the public. And if you respond and give them disrespect, because here's what happens in life, guys. Notice how very few people really even address Callie, because these women don't want to be called bitches. It very much discouraged Break Room and Ashley D and Angie whenever he would call them bitches and treat them that way. And he would accuse them of wanting to be with me. He says I act like every woman wants me. No, he does. Ladies, Chatty Cathy, you understand this as well. If you've spoken up for me in the past, were you not accused of having a crush on me? So these same people will say, I think every woman wants me, but really they think that. Except for, of course, when a woman joins them to bash me, now she don't want me anymore, right? Or even when exes that I have dealt with in the past in an intimate way attack my name, they don't want me either. I'm a fool for saying that they must have some type of crush on me, but they're not a fool for saying people who defend me, women, just because they're women who defend me, you must want him. You must want to be a part of his triad. You must want to be a part of his polygamous union. Chatty told me herself, that's very discouraging, man. Being told that and having that put on your reputation when you know that's not why you're defending somebody, it does make you reluctant to speak out. Ashley D and Break Room, they've shared the same things with me, that being treated that way is not cool. But what they'll do is men that don't behave that way, they'll disrespect the shit out of them. And so this is why I get disrespected so much, is because people expect me to go about it in a respectful way. And that's why Sean said, I expected more from you. I expected you to deal with me more in a professional manner. Why, when you're intentionally ruining my name? Now, I'm not going to call you a bitch, but I'm going to disrespect you. You're not going to get respect from me, so I'm going to talk about your loose neck. I'm going to be silly like you're being silly. And all of a sudden, they get it now. Oh, that's not right. That's not fair. It wasn't right and it wasn't fair when you made a video to ruin my reputation before I ever called you that. And they never think about this stuff. And so now they're going on tangents saying, you call black women bees. Actually, what I said was, if you called my wives bitches, now my wives are black women. So I said, if you call my wives bitches, your mothers are bitches. They leave that part out and says, I just called black women bitches. Well, I didn't name many names in that statement. I didn't name any names, actually. I just said, if you called my wives bitches, who are black mothers also, then your mother's a bitch. Now they're mad. Are you out here calling black mothers? Well, only the women who call my wives bitches. Are you one of them? And if you are, you deserve it. What are you talking about? Oh, so now you're mad. Now I'm wrong. So what were you whenever you was talking about them that way? And so I realized what these people do. They're not true bloggers. They insult you in the worst way. Talk about your children, your parents, your siblings, the people that you love dearly. And when you lash out on them, they record your lash out and call you a bad person. They crash out, right? And so then they post this everywhere to make it look like you're a bad person, leaving out what they did to you. And this is their attempt to ruin your name. But what happens is they mention each other constantly. They shout each other out constantly. And what the world learns is y'all are just attacking them. And all those people that you're shouting out are just attacking them. And so the more they do this, they weaken their own stance. They weaken their own credibility. And I have to learn to stay in my man frame, to stay in my stoic mind, because I can see that the best way to address these things is the way Voice and Value has. No need to get angry. Just speak the truth and speak it in a professional way, giving them back what they're giving you. They're just going to manipulate that and also add that to the things that they're trying to terrorize you with. You understand? Your responses to their criticism and bullying makes you a bad person, but they're not bad for bullying you. You're obsessed for responding to the things they're doing to you, and they'll constantly manipulate this stuff. You understand? But videos like this truly set the real apart from the fake. You understand? And I just want to shout you out, Voice and Value. And I got another video of yours I want to review too, because a true blogger, a true content creator, a true journalist will compel people to think, even if it's uncomfortable, because to truly wake humanity up to certain things, you have to challenge them. You have to get them to think about their own selves and how they think. And this is what creates a better world. You understand? And so I think she's really doing a great job. And so I'm going to let this video finish, but don't leave just yet. Let me show you guys this other video because, man, it's dynamic. All right, let's continue.
Please ask yourself, what did I gain from that? Because if your platform is built on mocking people's pain, it's not going to last. Sorry you had to hear that from me. Oh, yeah, the clicks might come, but so will the karma. To Robin and Kevin, and also to your sister Dawn, if she's listening, I see you and I believe you. You are cancer survivors. Even if the world tries to rewrite your story, some people rather label you as previvors. I say tomato, tomato. Your journey to live a cancer-free life, despite the hand you were dealt with the CDH1 gene, y'all came out on top. You're warriors. And you're winners. And now the only bell I want y'all to ring is that notification bell after you've subscribed to my channel if you haven't already done so.
Do that, family.
And to my subscribers who asked me to speak on this topic, thank you for holding the line and demanding that truth be told. We need a lot more of that.
Absolutely.
If you've made it this far, I appreciate you. This video wasn't about choosing sides. It was about choosing integrity. Let's start.
Now I want to go here. And before I play this video, I want to say to my sister Dawn, I've never said this before, and we've been dealing with so much around this that I don't think we've had chances to heal each other or speak life into each other. And I want to say to you, I'm truly sorry that you didn't get your opportunity to see her off like I know you was trying to do. And I know it hurts that the moment that you left, she passed, but you stayed there. You deserve to see her off just like I did. And I know that these are moments that you can't get back. And I just want you to be encouraged to know that you did stick it out with her for the full time. You only left at the very end, and you was coming back, you know, and everybody had to leave at some point. You can't just stay there for days and days, you know. And I'm just sorry that you weren't able to see her off. Well, I can tell you that seeing her off was a very painful thing for me also. I know that you wanted to be there because you knew her better than we all did. You grew up with her, like I grew up with my brother Robert. And I can tell you guys, me and my brother Robert, we've always been very, very close. He's always been my closest sibling. As brothers, we was always together. And our relationship went through its most trying time when he was trying to survive cancer. When I should have been encouraging him, I was actually telling him that what he was doing wasn't going to work because it's a cancer gene, and he's trying to believe in himself. He's trying to juice and work out to defeat it. And man, we would argue. I'd be threatening to beat him up. I'd be like, boy, I swear to God, bro, if you die, I'm gonna dig you up and beat you down. I'm gonna wake you back up just to beat you down because I cannot take losing you, and you're going about this the wrong way. And we would just go at it and argue, and that was the toughest our relationship has ever been. Because I knew I didn't have the strength to lose my brother. I already lost my sister, and I was mad at him for even trying to beat it. And I like, why don't you go and get the surgery? Because I'm going to take a month or so to fight it. Man, I was fucking devastated. That was one of the toughest times going through that. While he's trying to survive, I'm over here devastated because, dude, if this you already have they found cancer, and you heard the doctor say you had a tumor that was aggressive. I believe that's what he said, which means that there was cancer in the tumor. It just wasn't in his lymph nodes. It had not made it to all those different aspects of his body. But he did have cancer, and it was aggressive. He said that the guy said. And so, and when you go back and listen to that, you'll hear the doctor say that. And I'm telling my brother, man, he's like, I'm losing weight. And I'm like, bro, the cancer does that to you as well. And so I wasn't encouraging it at all. And I apologize to you for that, bro. I should have supported you more. But I think I was more your nemesis than anything. But it's amazing who we become when we love somebody. And sometimes we can become their worst enemy, man. And so he's trying to go through things and get support. And he didn't even get that from me. And I'm talking about how I didn't get support from strangers, and he didn't get support from his own closest brother. And I apologize for that, bro. But I'm so glad that you beat it, man. But let's go ahead and continue with this video right here. That Voice and Value Drop talked about women who disrespect men. She said something in this video that really challenged me to think. And I didn't like how it felt at first, but it was exactly right what she said. And it caused me to have to really look at the perspective of women a little differently. And I understand the perspective of women. I truly do. I have a daughter. I have a granddaughter. I have 2 wives. I have sisters. I have all these people in my life who are women. And so I do understand how they see the world and the vulnerabilities that they have in themselves, which is why they see the world this way and why they see men and strange men and things like that a certain way. But as a man, it just doesn't feel good to know that you're seen in a negative light with such fear, with such at a distance, kind of at arm's length because of what you're capable of. And learning that I see men the same way wasn't easy for me. But it took someone like Voice and Value to challenge me with a simple display of a question. I want you guys to watch this. This is very compelling. And one of the things that shows people's intelligence is they're able to ask questions to get you to think. And sometimes it calls you to wake yourself up because you really can't wake somebody up. You have to ask them questions to get their own brains and wheels to start working. But without further ado, let's play this video.
First and foremost, women don't have respect for themselves because they trade respect for attention and validation. So they bankrupt in the respect department.
I think women use shaming tactics on men because, simply put, our ego can't handle their truth.
If they don't have respect for themselves, they definitely can't have respect for you as men, regardless. Even if they had respect in the bank account, they still couldn't respect you as men. And the reason for that is because they don't understand what it takes for a man to actually be a man.
It's a lot of shit we misperceive, or we take it the wrong way because we don't know what it feel like to have a daddy that say, this is the decision as a man, and ain't no woman coming and put her 2 cents on it, right? Then you only seeing how a woman solves and processes and run the household. This your programming.
I know that most men have dark thoughts that cross their mind because that's how y'all wired. Now, whether you act on those or not, or fall victim to them, is a whole nother thing. And this is why when the more you learn about men and their psychology, the more you can understand what it means to be a good man.
In case y'all haven't seen any of the videos of fathers being asked whether or not they would leave their daughter in the woods with a bear or man, here are a few. Enjoy.
I guess a bear.
Why?
I mean, I don't trust the man.
Right.
This is what got me voicing value. This is what got me right here. I heard this, and when I hear women say, I choose the bear, I'm like, that's crazy. A bear's gonna eat you. Like, what do you care if you're raped or eaten? It's both of them are bad, right? Like one of them you're gonna get eaten. But the man that ain't gonna necessarily do that. But the bear, if he's hungry, it's a wrap, you know. But when it showed the men saying this, I knew then that I can't I can't come right out and say a man, because I don't trust men either, and I myself is a man. And so I thought about it. If prompted with this question, I get reluctant to say a man. And I'm a man. It to me proved kind of like what men, I don't want to say what they go through and make them victims, because maybe we deserve it because so many harsh crimes have came from men. And so maybe it's accurate, but it just shows you how important it is for you to be a good man and to demonstrate differently. But it also shows how difficult it is to even be seen in a good light, even as a good man, simply because of what you're capable of. You're still a man. You're still a man. And so you still have the same capabilities of doing the same things that a toxic man does. And so you have to understand why women are saying this. And I always thought it was just foolish talk, but I get it now. These women are speaking from a place of likely trauma to themselves or trauma to others. And if you guys know Neo, she's like this. She really appears to hate men, but she does come from a background to where she says that she has been, hurt by men in her earlier age. So we have to understand the lens that she's looking through. And while it may make me uncomfortable as a man to see how she sees men, because I know I'm not that way, I have to understand that this lens is what she feels protects her. And so often when people talk this way, they are trying to protect themselves. And that's what the brain does to protect itself from trauma. It's better for her to see every man is a potential threat. And that helps her to protect herself. And when men are asked this question, who likely have not been exposed to this type of treatment from a man, look at how they were still quickly to say to the bear. And to me, it just shows, wow, it just made me think. Let's continue. Well, and let me say this. There was a time where I talked about how if you lie on a person and say they raped you and they didn't, you deserve exactly what the rapist would get. And I still stand on that. But Neo, of course, she hated that because she knows that it's true in a lot of cases that a man is guilty, but she's not a man to understand what men go through when they're wrongly accused. And there are so many men with great futures who were wrongly accused. And because it does happen, you have to speak to it. It doesn't matter if it's rarer than when women actually get raped. It means it's a real thing that happens. And we have to protect the innocent on both sides. So she did not understand where I was coming from. And I don't get that part because I understand and understood where women are coming from when they're telling the truth. And I believe that rapists should get the worst of penalties. I do. Child rapists, grown-up rapists, whatever the case, you should get the worst of penalties. But I also believe to accuse somebody of something that harsh, knowing that they are innocent, you should get that same harsh penalty. I think it should go on both sides. So I don't think that it's important to try and debate on these topics when the goal is to protect the innocent. And if you're innocent, there should be some type of protection measure for you. And it doesn't appear to be on false accusations. Do you understand? But let's continue. This right here got me. Let me go back just a bit because I want you guys to hear this man clearly say the bear, which is what we get upset when women say the bear. We call it foolish and we say his eyes just bitterness and we write them off. But now understanding that they have a point because of how we even see men, strange men that are not us, and you're not looking at it through the lens of ego, it made women saying this make more sense to me. Let's continue.
The woods with a bear or man, here are a few. Enjoy.
I guess a bear.
Why?
I mean, I don't trust the man.
Right.
That's fair.
Trust the bear more than the man.
Which would you choose?
A bear.
Why?
Because I ain't got to worry about the bear doing nothing to my daughter.
The views and opinions
Well,
expressed
it's
in
not true. The bear could absolutely do something to your daughter. But let me say this, okay? My brain started working on this, and I said, okay, why am I reluctant to say a man when I know that a bear is more dangerous than a man? And it hit me that to a woman, potato. Both the man and the bear can overtake her in similar fashion because of their sheer strength and capability, their bone structure, muscle structure, testosterone. All these things make women vulnerable to a man's physical attacks. It just does. And so through a woman's lens, through a man's lens, considering his daughter or wives alone in the woods with a man, to him, the risk doesn't lower because it's a man versus a bear. However, we know a bear would completely destroy a man. A bear would destroy most animals, actually. They're actually one of the most dangerous animals on the planet. To a woman, though, even though bears are faster than men, in most cases, men are faster than women. So if she can't escape either, she probably think her chances are better with a bear with a full stomach than a man on a full stomach, because he's not going to eat her, but her being a woman alone could trigger his lust. And obviously that's dangerous for a toxic man. And so I can see how these men are thinking here. For me, I'm still reluctant to say, and I would say what would make me feel more comfortable to say the man is not men at all. It's my ability to try to teach my daughter on how to defend herself. And I know that if I taught her to defend herself, her chances are better with a man than a bear. Although she's still at a disadvantage, even if she's trained and the man isn't. You understand? So I would teach her how to defend herself and how to go for a man's weak points and how to search for something sharp to protect herself with. But I would know that this absolutely wouldn't work against a bear, but it would heighten her chances to survive a man, while it still wouldn't give her the advantage over a man. You understand? Even someone like Clarissa Shields, against an average man, she would lose. And this is someone who's becoming world renowned for her ability to fight. In the ring with an average man, she'd have a tough time. And it's not because of anything wrong with her. It's just the universally given gifts that men have. Bigger, stronger bones, testosterone, being larger in and of itself. And this thing makes you more inept to strength, right? Having strength that women just don't have. And, a woman's world has to kind of look similar to a man in prison. Men don't walk around in the natural world fearing being great. They don't go to the bathroom. They don't have to fear a man grabbing them in an alley or something like that, overtaking them physically. That's not something that is on the back of a man's mind, because it's not a world that we live in. But if a man goes to prison, I believe now those senses would be heightened, as he would be aware that this can happen in prison. It's something that's largely talked about. And so I think he would now kind of get a glimpse of what women go through. But at the same time, he's still a man, and he has a better chance with men than women do. So in a natural world, you could see how women constantly live in fear or a heightened state of awareness, at least, because of what can happen to them. It wouldn't be wise for them at all to go anywhere thinking that they're just okay. Right now, I'm living in Medellin, Colombia, right? And people are warning me about the dangers here. Where women face these dangers wherever they go. It's no safe place for them, actually, simply because of their own vulnerabilities and the attraction that they can bring out of men without even trying. And you can see so many people say, well, watch how you dress. But many women know that it doesn't matter how you dress. It just doesn't matter. And this alone makes a woman's world far different than a man's. And I just want to appreciate Voice and Value for making that truly clear by showing that. I mean, that was genius to me, to show simply men saying this, because you know how many men invalidate women when they say that? I'd rather be in the woods with a bear, and because we're taking it personally. What do you mean? That's crazy. But it isn't so crazy when you ask that about your daughter or wives or mother, right? And so thank you so much, Voice and Value. You really triggered me to think, and it was very uncomfortable. But I had to accept that even I don't trust men. I don't trust men. And even though I'm a man, I don't trust men. And I've never been a victim to men and anything like that, but I don't trust men. And it's because I know what they're capable of when it comes to women. And I hate that I feel that way, because men who are not guilty of that don't deserve that. But I think that we have to understand, even as men who don't behave that way, that there has to be a kind of guard up awareness to us because of what we're capable of. But what she did with this was profound, because she's going to go into women who disrespect men, men who do not display these characteristics of an aggressive, toxic man, even though he's still capable of doing everything a man can do. They'd be quick to call him sassy, quick to call him gay, quick to disrespect this person about his penis size and all these different things, as if it takes away from what he's capable of as a man. I saw a video on Instagram today. Derek Grace covered it. It's a man with a woman on an elevator, white guy, it doesn't matter what color, but he is beating this woman down. And it shows her facing things after the fact. And it just shows how easily a man can overtake a woman. And if my daughter were out here, like a lot of these women are, disrespecting men, calling them out of their name, I would immediately get on her case, because what are you doing? It's already hard enough for women. Why would you try to get a man's anger from him? Why would you try and do this to a man who you know is capable of this? So what she did with this was profound, because while women fear men for rightful reasons, while they fear men, there is a large list of women who will disrespect a man that she claims to also fear. And it's amazing to me how they do that. And she brought so much life to that. I couldn't explain it better myself. Let's continue. I won't play our whole video, because I want you guys to go to her channel and subscribe and see her footage, because it's profound. But let me let her talk for a moment so you guys can see exactly why I'm giving her credit today, why I'm giving her flowers today. Let's go.
This video are my own and are not intended to be taken as facts or professional advice. I'm simply sharing my personal perspective on a topic that's being discussed on a public platform. Any resemblance to the truth, actual facts, or to reality is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're a woman who's ever been afraid to go outside alone at night, what exactly were you afraid of? If you're a single woman who double locks her doors at night before going to bed, who are you protecting yourself from? If you answered a man, that would be the correct answer. And it's for that very same reason that women who were asked whether they felt safer with a bear over a man, she chose the bear every time. Hell, her own dad chose the bear for her safety. Even though deep down, women fear men, well, not the man entirely, but his powerful strength that we know he has. And
before she even goes here, talking about his powerful strength, I always ask questions about people who are gay or lesbian, okay? I always ask, if you're that way, then you're that way. But why do you try and look like the opposite sex because you're that way? And it makes gay and lesbian very confusing to me. I can understand you have a sexuality, but why are you dressing like a woman? Why are you attracted to men who look like women or act like women if you say you like men? And as a woman, why are you dressing like a man in order to turn gay women on? It seems counterproductive. It seems like there's a mental aspect to this that needs to be addressed by some type of psychologist. Because why? I still can't understand why men do it, but I have to understand why women do it. Dressing like a boy would make you feel that you would be less attractive to a man, probably making you feel that you can protect yourself better by dressing like a man. Larger clothes would hide your body frame, baggier clothes, of course. Wearing caps and stuff would potentially hide your female beauty that really just men can't overlook. We're going to notice it, whether or not you're trying to act like a man or not. We're going to notice it. Even the pheromones that you guys give off, a man would notice that. And I can see now more of why women would dress what they call butch or manly, much more than I can see why a man is dressing like a woman, so to speak. And maybe there's more light to be shined on why men do it or the psychological aspects to that. But I can understand why a woman would do that. I can. And I think that it's almost like utilize every possible way to protect yourself from men, especially whenever you've been harmed by a man in that way. You would try anything. You'd go out every day dressed like a man if it meant men didn't bother you in that way. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You understand? And so this video just brought so much to light from it, because once my brain gets going, it doesn't stop. But let's continue, because she's talking about the disrespect for men on behalf of women disrespecting men.
Well, not the man entirely, but his powerful strength that we know he has, and how it can overtake us. His rage that some of us have unfortunately witnessed up close. And the knowing that it is the biological man that women fear when it comes down to SA. Still, there are full-grown women out here degrading, demeaning, emasculating, and disrespecting men. Today, we're going to have a real grown-up conversation. No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth with several layers of clarity. And no, this ain't a male or a female bashing session. We don't do that here. This conversation is about accountability, and specifically a group of women who go out of their way to disrespect men. I'm talking about women who speak with sharp tongues, who are quick to emasculate, who weaponize words like weak, broke, sassy, or shrimp. And they don't do it in heated moments of conflict. They do it casually, boldly. And the sad part about it is that they're proud of it. Like it's a personality trait. Like disrespect is synonymous with empowerment. I want to get into why that happens.
Great. And she's going to get into why that happens. But my brain is even thinking again. She's talking about the physical aspects of men. You know what they're capable of when you're calling them weak, broke, as if he were weak, if he was broke, if he did have a shrimp, they take away from him being a man. But I want to deal with men are even not treated differently solely because of their strength, but even their words are held under a greater microscope. If a man were to tell a woman her breasts were small and to try to take away from her womanhood because of this, he would be wrong. He'd be cruel. If he said your butt ain't big enough for you to be having that type of energy, you got small ass energy, right? They have a thing they call little dick energy, telling a man that his penis isn't large enough to assert his dominance or be a man, stand up about what he believes in, or put his foot down about certain things. But if he were to say those same things back, she would completely feel dehumanized. Because how dare you say because her breasts aren't a certain size, she's not a woman. She is very much a woman. How dare you say because she doesn't have hips that you feel are big enough, or a butt that you don't feel is big enough, that she's not a woman. It'd be completely wrong. And I've watched women do this for years, judge a man by his penis size as if it takes away from who he is. I've seen women who would, tear down their mate by saying his thing was small anyway. But if a man was to say her vagina was stinking or big or something like that, he would be instantly cruel. And so he's held under a different lens, even by the very same women who use these type of attacks. And when my brother's wife went into a barbershop or a salon, and she had all these women insulting him, trying to say he was small and things like that, I remember making a video saying, if my brother were to do that same thing inside of a barbershop and have men talking about her body parts, that barbershop would be shut down. I promise you, it would be canceled. People would stop going. Women would make sure their husbands didn't go to that barbershop anymore, and they'd lose their business. But when that's happening the other way around, it's almost like not even noticeable. And this is just dealing with words. This ain't even physicality involved. It's just words. You understand? But I just wanted to throw that out there, and I'll get back to voice and value. But the point she's making is these men who you guys fear, who you're locking your doors because of, who you say you don't want to be, you'd rather be in the woods with a bear other than him, you will still emasculate him. You'll still try and use defaming, derogatory words and statements to make him feel less about himself, knowing that could provoke the very wrath that you fear. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. And if your daughters were doing that, I'm sure you would recognize that this is dangerous for her. If she's in the home doing this with her husband, spitting in his face, talking about his mama, you would be saying, if this man were to lose his cool, he could end your life by just attacking you without even the attempt of murder. You could be gone. Why would you play like that? Why would you be slapping his hats off saying, do something, do something? Why? If you're going to be an abused victim, if he were to give you that strength back, it makes no sense. And it's very dangerous. It's like, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what to compare that to. I just don't. But let's continue.
What it really says about them and why it's not just problematic, it's also dangerous, especially if there's a loyal following behind them. If you haven't already hit the like button, please take a moment to do so and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. To everyone else, welcome back to Voice and Value. A woman constantly puts down men, especially Black men. That behavior usually didn't start when they became an adult. That mentality was baked in. You know, maybe she grew up in a household where men were absent or abusive. Maybe every time her mother or even her grandmother spoke about a man, it was with venom in their voice. There was no softness, no honor, no room for grace. And some women were raised on survival. They never had a father who showed them leadership through patience, or a grandfather who taught them that strength doesn't have to be loud. So when they got older, the only version of manhood they respected was the idea of dominance.
Now, get this. That's profound what she said, because notice how the very people who Callie called bitches and insulted them, he called Mika a bitch. As soon as she addressed his behavior, he calls her a bitch. That's his go-to move. But Mika, of course, doesn't bend to this type of abuse. But many of these women now work for him, okay? They now work for him, doing everything that he wants them to do, repeats him in everything. They fail to the victimhood of being abused. And it's sad because, you know, when I was in their lives, I was making sure that I blessed them for the work they were doing. I complimented them. I didn't treat them badly. But notice I'm the one that they disrespect with the utmost disrespect. Ashley D goes online to say, I'm so weak, I made my sons gay. This is what she said to me, yo. This woman I've never done anything to. She said she was upset with me because I didn't protect her, use my words to protect her. But it turned into her now online saying, you're so weak, you made your sons gay. Like, who says this type of stuff to another man who hasn't done anything to you? You understand? And then when I respond to her with the same gesture, well, if my son is gay, yours is, everybody wants to talk about and say, I called a boy gay. I was showing her how it felt. But again, what's done to me, they don't care about. Break Room is another one. Callie called her a bitch over and over and over, along with Angie, Break Room, and Chatty Cathy, obviously, honestly. And now Break Room says he never called her that. She protects him, tells Buck that Callie's cool, that her very husband, who she should be telling the truth to, she lies and says, I called her a bitch, when I never did. But I'm the one who blessed her channel. I'm the one who lifted her up. But she also says, I didn't protect her. When both of these women have men that they call their a significant other in Ashley D and their very own husband in Break Room. To me, it's unbelievable how they will back up Callie, who literally said that he belittled his ex until she attacked him, and then he beat her to a pulp and justified it by saying, you shouldn't have attacked me. What Callie is saying is, you should have let me sit here and belittle you and call you fat and say all these derogatory things to you. You should have took it because you know I'm stronger than you. And she caught the bad end of that because she put her hands on me. I want you guys to imagine this, okay? Imagine a man belittling a woman. Imagine women had man strength and men, it was vice versa. They had woman strength. Imagine a man talking junk to a woman, belittling her, calling her every name in the book, but she's actually stronger than him. She gets up and she beats the living shit out of him. And now he's the victim, even though he said all the mean things that he could to her to get her upset, to hurt her feelings. And then when she finally hit him, now she's the aggressor and she is the abuser, and her life is ruined now, even though this man was belittling her every chance he got. But imagine this, it's even worse. Imagine the real world. A man has that much strength and he's belittling you with his words. And if you were to hit him, he's going to use his physical strength on you now and then tell you it's your fault. And this man, they don't address. They actually work for him and with him. And he said this out of his own mouth. Not to mention, His own brother-in-law says that he was SHOT for messing with a little girl. And they don't address that at all either. And to me, it's like they allow the most dangerous man around them who has displayed this danger, who has displayed this savage, violent behavior, who says it out loud himself that he's done this more than once, and they'll be cool with him. Meanwhile, paying a person who doesn't do that as what the person they're hanging around does. Isn't it amazing? They might as well just call me Chief Cali. Instead of saying, Kevin, you're an abuser and you are ain't shit nigga, they might as well just call me Chief Cali. That's actually the greatest disrespect, is to call me him. But they're with him, teaming up with him to speak derogatorily on me. It makes no sense. And I think that the very reason they're doing that is because they were disrespected to the point of, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And Nate's the same way. She's abused every last one of these women who is now working for her. And it goes to show that when you physically dominate somebody with belittling them, insulting them, and tearing down their ego and their own sense of pride and love for themselves, or physically dominating them, you can actually make them a slave to you. And they'll actually serve you so you don't treat them this way anymore. They'll become your greatest servant so you no longer bully them. And so you can see why the bully uses these tactics. You can see why they move in this way, because it appears to work for them. Because some people are so psychologically weak, and this, I don't say this with an insult, they're so psychologically weak that they will conform to being the slave of the very person who's abusing them. This happens with parents. Parents can be very mean to their children, and you'll notice those children will go out of their way to be approved by those very same parents who really never give them what they need as far as love and encouragement. Instead, those parents will always find a way to tear into their children in a negative way. And it's something that I think truly should be addressed. Why is it that we succumb to slaves for a person who beats the shit out of us? Because it worked for slave masters. They weren't physically dominant, more dominant than their slaves, but due to the harsh treatments they would put slaves through, the slaves became better slaves of people they're actually stronger than and outnumber. So a slave master couldn't get in the ring with a slave and beat him straight up. It's just not going to happen. But not to mention that they outnumbered the slave masters. And this harsh treatment actually made them more subject to being slaves. You would think that that harsh treatment would make them lash out, but it actually made them better slaves. I'm watching this happen in real time. They would deny that Callie ever called them a bitch, but they would clearly say I called them one when I didn't. And if I say, if you call my wives bitches, you're a bitch, your mama's a bitch, they won't let it go. But they won't even mention that Callie did that same thing to them. It's amazing. My sister forgives Amora for doing all the things to her that she used to complain about in the past. Are we cool? I ain't got nothing against her. But she's mad at people now who's really reacting to her abuse. It's so beyond me to watch this stuff happen. And it's sad because I know my sister dealt with a lot of that growing up, being insulted and whatnot. But I think maybe that is a link to it. If you've already psychologically gone through this, hell, you don't want to keep going through that. And so I can see kind of why she did it. Choose the lesser of two evils. I don't want to be beat up and disrespected by this person anymore. So let me sacrifice my siblings and everything for the lesser of the two evils. At least I'm not being belittled by that person anymore. At least I'm not being attacked by this person anymore. You know, the other group won't do to me what they'll do. But she's the worst person that you don't want to have no problem with. This happens in prison. The strongest gang gets the people. Most people join them because you don't want to have to deal with them. Even my oldest brother told me something. Adrian also told me something. So my two older brothers, they grew up in California. We grew up in the country. They grew up in the city. My brothers told me this. When they were not in any gang, they got jumped every day on their way to school. They had to go to the bus stop and they would have to fight every day on their way to the bus stops by different gangs. But when they joined one gang, now they had to fight every other day because at least they had a gang that was protecting them. So the lesser of two evils was to join a gang for protection's sake. Why does the human brain work this way? That's something maybe I'll never understand, but I'm interested. Voice and value, that's just the topic. I've thrown it out there because I'm sure you would go about that in a really good and righteous way and bring a lot of insight to it. But I'm really confused as to how people become workers or slaves to people who bully them when they don't stand up for themselves and just fight. Even if you fight to your death, fight. Why are you overlooking a bully? Clearly, Neo does it too. She recognizes all these different things in other people, but the very people who do all this stuff to people, and I'm talking about those very same people will criticize other women and men for being gay, but she'll call herself friends with them. And it's like, isn't it not clear what they think of you? Isn't it not clear? But you know what? What can I say? Because she herself tries to demean people by their sexuality or whatever sexuality she accuses onto them. And she herself is a lesbian woman. It's a lot of things in life I don't understand. People really confuse me. I just don't get it. But I'll continue because I know I'm going on a tangent with my brain just going everywhere. But if I'm making sense to you guys, let me know you understand where I'm coming from. But let's continue with Voice and Value. I'm not going to be on this much longer because I want you guys to watch her content for yourself. I'll only keep pausing it because she makes me think, honestly. And I think that's taken away from her actual content. But watch it, guys. I'm serious. This lady is profound.
Not masculinity. Even studs take on the persona of what they perceive to be a young black thug. You rarely see them dressed or acting like a gentleman. They move and operate with a version of men that they feel are masculine or hard. When a man does show vulnerability or quiet confidence, or even if he asks for respect without raising his voice, a lot of women don't know what to do with that. So they attack it. They look at it as weak. They call him feminine. They laugh at him. But truth be told, it's projection. It's unhealed wounds from growing up without a positive male figure in their life and bad relationships that they endured as a result of it. Now let's talk about that TikTok debate. You've probably seen it. If you were lost in the woods and you had to choose between encountering a bear or a random man, which would you choose? Far too many women with a straight face chose the bear without hesitation. Let's pause right there. A bear, a wild, unpredictable animal with claws and brute force over a man? That alone says something. Not just about how unsafe women feel, but about how deep the mistrust and disdain for men has gotten. But the irony is that very same woman who claims to fear men so much, yet won't even go to the bathroom by herself when she's out, will get on social media and hurl the most degrading insults at men. She'll get on mic calling them little boys, calling them soft, a band, and yell, "Pull up!" Like she forgot these are the same men she swears are a threat to her safety. If you truly believe someone was dangerous, wouldn't you tread lightly instead? Wouldn't you speak with caution? But no, they don't fear men. They just don't respect them. And that's a very dangerous game to play. Here's something that needs to be said in plain language. Men are physically stronger than women, period. And no, that's not sexism, that's biology. Yet still, most men walk around with incredible restraint. Most men, even when they're being disrespected, humiliated, or even emasculated, they choose discipline. Think about it. A man could easily snap back. He could use his size or his strength to intimidate, to harm, to dominate. But most don't.
Wow. See right there, Voice and Value. I really appreciate you, man. Right there alone shows why there's so much more criticism for men's toxic behavior than women, because they're capable of so much more. So even though it's unfair, you can understand the bias. You can understand why women don't get held to the same level of accountability as a man because of what he's capable of. His sheer brute strength alone could end her life if he were to use it. So you do have to still shame him for even succumbing to her abusive behaviors towards him and hitting her. Even if it's hitting her back, he has stronger bones. She's not going to hit him and kill him, y'all. It's not going to happen. But if he returns that hit, it's a wrap. And this is why I encourage men, use your strength to run from her. Get away from her. Run as fast as you can, because you hitting her is going to end your life and likely hers too. Don't hit her back. Take the damage. You being able to take the damage is more proof of your strength and your warrior mentality than you hitting her back. So run as fast as you can and get away from her, elude her, avoid her. Don't use your strength to dominate her, even if she hits you first. Run from her, get away from her. giving it back, it actually should be held to a higher standard. And I would say it's not fair, but our strength is not fair. We're not on the same level here. But I do feel like because a woman knows a man's strength, you have to disparage her behavior also. But there should be more disparagement on a man even responding to a woman's toxic behavior. Because should she die because of her mouth? Let's be honest. No. And so hitting her back or hitting her should never be an option for a man. It should be escaping her. Because again, she can punch you in her face and damage her hand. She's not going to knock you out or kill you. I mean, I guess in some cases, some women do hit harder, but I'm speaking for the majority, not the exceptions to the rule. Very rarely a woman has more strength than a man, and often it's because he's, smaller or weaker in stature and things of that nature, or she's actually stronger than most women. But the typical fact is men are stronger than women, 2 or 3 times stronger than women. Did you guys know that a woman's full strength is that of a 12-year-old boy? Did you guys know that a woman's full strength is that of a 12-year-old boy? So once your child reaches 12, he is physically stronger than you. And women know this because they'll say, I can't handle him anymore. But it's still, a lot of those women will still bully their own sons and bully the men in their lives. It's literally unreal. But again, if a man's hit can end a woman's life, you have to try and disparage him socially. The laws probably have to be greater on him. And that does mean he has to be subject to her abuse. Wow. It's something that's hard to accept as a man, to know that, hey, it's only right that you take her abuse and just try to survive it rather than to give it back, because look at what you're capable of, but it's also unfair because it doesn't hold women to the level of accountability that they should be held to, which would make the world a better place. But anywho, let's get back.
Oh. And why? Because there's a moral code, a spiritual code, and there's a code in society where most men choose to just walk away. But that choice shouldn't be taken for granted just because it's social media. See, when a woman stands in a man's face, chest puffed, finger pointed, voice raised, screaming insults like, you ain't a real man, you a punk. Or worse yet, there's this assumption being made that his restraint is a weakness, not a sign of maturity and control. That's what's so twisted about all this.
They see that as powerful. I have to read that. She says, if you're mistreated at a young age, it establishes your love language. Your love language is something that is very difficult to reestablish. You'll be attracted to the very thing that's causing you damage. Wow. She said it's like a glitch in the brain. And it is a glitch because trauma creates a glitch in the brain. It actually creates damage to the brain. You can see it under a what do you call a brain scan? You can actually see the trauma created in the brain by a brain scan. It looks like a bruise, causes bruises on the brain. And so this is an actual fact. It's a literal glitch in the brain. She said, and it occurs even when you know it's wrong. She's right. Again, it's amazing to me. But wow, Stockholm, absolutely. And I've called this many times, the Stockholm syndrome, and people say, no, it ain't. Kevin, listen, do your research. You'll understand what is happening here. Let's continue.
Man practicing self-discipline is powerful, but women who haven't seen healthy masculinity don't know the difference. The women who haven't had healthy male role models in their lives, I'm talking about the women who grew up without a father or had a dad who was present in body but was abusive, manipulative, or maybe he was inconsistent. Women who grew up without brothers, uncles, or a grandfather who set a good example of honorable men with integrity. When the first man in your life either doesn't show up for you or he hurts you, be it emotionally or physically, it sets a tone.
It does voice in value. And one of the things you just talked about was that man's strength and having the ability to restrain that strength, and how that's not seen as manly. Instead, it's attacked, when really we have to understand the value in a man having the ability to restrain himself. Because he's so much stronger than a woman, and if he were to act like her and be quick to hit or even speak the way that, like, say, OB speaks, they believe it's a testimony to manhood. They say he's a protector. Where men who demonstrate far more control and self-restraint are called weak, and bitches and things of that nature. It's a testimony to the man's manhood to actually control his own strength, because of what he's capable of. But that is not recognized. It's sad, because if you talk about creating a better world, who should you actually be celebrating? The people who are quick to attack, hit, abuse, or the people who are slow to, even when they're being abused? Think about this. Woman hits a man over and over. He hits her back once and he ends her life, but he doesn't have a bruise on him. He's just mad. He's angry that he was being disrespected, but she's out of here because he reacted in an equal measure, less than equal measure. He only hit her once. She hit him 4 times. She spit in his face. She talked about his mom and he hit her once, and now she's out of there, right? Or she's never the same again. And so, again, he's not literally hurt. He's psychologically hurt. He's angry, feels disrespected, but his life isn't at risk at all. And so that man who would lash out and hit back, doesn't that show that he shouldn't be praised? Where the man who doesn't lash out and hit back and instead avoids this person, leaves her alone entirely, should be praised. But instead, he's called weak. And you got to understand, man, if you're trying to create a better world, what direction are you going in when you praise the abuser, but talk junk about the person who has restraint? It's unreal. Brittany Tyner says, yes, a man has far more power with one punch when hitting a woman. And some of these women will try and provoke you too. They will. Don't fall for it. Leave and never return. So you will be good and go on about your life and just take the damage. Just take the damage, because, and not just because you're more durable, because that's unfair to say you should be taking more damage because no, it's because the consequences for you. And one thing we can't deny are consequences, man. Men should always be adaptable to consequences and navigate his life with that in mind. Okay. And don't worry about what's biased, what feels wrong, what feels right. If you live your life according to consequences, you'll go much farther as a man. Okay. That 199 says, facts, Brittany. My husband always tells our men to run away from women that like to throw physical punches. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you wiser, and it keeps you out of jail or worse. And I'm going to add to that. If you have a woman who's provoking you, saying you ain't going to do nothing, your mama a B, do it, hit me. You ain't going to treat her just like a woman who's hitting you and leave her alone. Don't deal with her. A woman who will talk about your mama, spit in your face, you leave her, because if you don't, you'll end up becoming abusive too. Because if you talk about her mama, she's going to call her brothers and try and get you attacked. You understand? Her daddy too. And it's crazy that she won't tell you the whole truth. So, and because she knows that the world is going to protect her, she'll weaponize that and use that against you, but provoke you and bully you. It's unreal. And then some women believe a man can't be bullied. Anyone can be bullied. Anyone can. But it's sad that when men actually respond to the bullying with equal force or equal words, all of a sudden it's, I can't believe you said that, or my words shouldn't be held like that, but your words, they're heavier than mine. It's unreal. So men, so you don't have to deal with the bias, because it only hurts you more to see people don't understand what you went through in that situation. It's, the bias hurts alone. Not seeing your true pain alone hurts alone. But you reacting is going to hurt worse, because nobody's going to justify you reacting. You see, and it's going to hurt even worse. So just take the abuse from her and escape that person, man. A woman who will put you through that, she doesn't love you, and frankly, she doesn't love herself, because if she'll provoke you in that way, she's not thinking about her own physical safety. And I'm telling you, if my daughter were doing that to a man, I would encourage that man to leave her alone. I would, because I know that's the best way to protect my daughter, is say, you leave her, just leave her, bro. If she's talking to you that way, leave her, because I don't want to see the day that he snaps and now I don't have a daughter anymore. You understand? And yeah, it'll be because she provoked him and ran her mouth and all these different types of things, and he made the wrong move. But if you know your child is doing this, you have a daughter, your mother, your sister's doing this, try and encourage them that, yo, do you love yourself? Because if he hits you back, if he gives you that same treatment back, yo, that could be the end of you. Why would you do that? That's crazy. It's like taking somebody and putting their gun to your head and saying, pull the trigger. You ain't going to do it. You know, if they do, you out of here, right? Like, why are you doing that? That makes no sense. Now, I'll tell you this. You put a woman in the woods with a man, she's not going to disrespect him. And if you put a woman in the woods with a bear who has a full stomach, she's not going to go over there bothering the bear. But if you put her in the natural world where there's laws or where there is social views that hold a man hostage to a certain behavior, they will do that. And so a lot of times that they're doing this is because they don't believe either you'll do it because of your high morals, so it gets you disrespected more. Like say how I get disrespected online due to my high morals. It's easier for them to mess with me because they don't feel they'll be disrespected. That's why Sean was so shocked that I disrespected her, because she didn't expect it, but she's disrespecting me. And that's what it shows you they don't believe you should do back to them what they're doing to you. And again, it just highlights so much here. And this saga really brings a lot of that to light, because one of the ringleaders of terrorizing, even framing my brother for abuse, is a black woman who's about almost 60 years old, who was a military captain, she says, but doesn't exude any of those qualities. She actually exudes the qualities of a very, very toxic and abusive person. But it seems to go under the radar. People tend to don't know it. They actually call her Miss. And it's crazy because she gets more respect than anyone on this whole platform, but she's the most disrespectful person. It's unreal. And if you guys are wondering why do evil people survive, this saga should be a testimony to why that happens. Look at all the people in this saga who doesn't confront her about her behavior and instead calls her Miss. She's allowed every night to disrespect children, call them window lickers, post people's children, knowing that parents have went through very traumatic things surrounding those children. And she does this just to get under their skin, as if she doesn't know what traumatizing looks like, as if she doesn't have any empathy. And she does all of this while causing herself, judging people on their bad behaviors. And she has a huge platform of people that's with her doing it. They were sending her pictures of my son to post on her page. So it's not just her. And this is why I told you guys, people don't rise to power on their own. They rise to power because of the collective thought of the majority. Hitler didn't rise to power on his own. He rose to power that way because people who also agreed with him elected him. Amora, the reason that she has so many people who backs her is because they think the same way. Okay, so you're never looking at one powerful person. You're looking at a collective people who think the same way, and they're really just all terroristic. So they'll go and clip your videos and clip these things, knowing there's proof. There's a video literally on my page that shows us in the hospital with our son. And she's online asking ChatGPT if my son got a true heart surgery. When I posted a picture of a picture I literally just took showing his heart, she put it in ChatGPT, and it told her that this is clearly a heart surgery of an AV valve being corrected. But then she goes and grabs a different picture where you can't see the whole scar to ask ChatGPT, is it the same scar? When clearly that one picture alone, ChatGPT clearly explained that this was indicative of a open heart surgery. But she continued and continued, even though she has his father saying he got this. She'll say he's a liar. And her crowd will say the same thing. And every one of them know that that lady is the one that's lying. But they won't say that. And they do this and do this. But when something bad happens to her, they'll say, you shouldn't have done that. Example, when I responded and said she had 4C hair. Imagine all these people who said, oh, I got offended when you said that too. I got offended when you said that you don't respect the military because she's a military person. So now they're offended. But when she talks about my children and disabilities, people ain't offended, even though they might have children or no children like this. You understand? But again, I'm under a tight microscope. So when I respond, so many people are offended. But when she does these things, nobody even notices it. And notice that there is no level of accountability for Amora, for Nate. But there's every level of accountability to the people who respond to Nate. Isn't that something? It's completely unreal. And it'll make you feel very uncomfortable. It'll make you feel like the world is unfair, like you're in a twilight zone, and you can see how gaslighting does to a person behind closed doors. Right now, you see it publicly. And this is actually the best form of it because so many people can see this happening publicly, right? But if it was just behind closed doors, nobody sees it. You tell the person that you love that they just hurt your feelings. And what do? Beat you up for saying it hurt your feelings. Oh, that's your weak ass feelings. They don't understand and validate that you have feelings and say right or wrong, if I hurt your feelings, I shouldn't be behaving that way. No, instead, they'll make you feel bad for even having feelings. Say, for instance, when Lacey got told that she was being pimped, she wasn't ready for that. She wasn't prepared for that. And it hurt her feelings. Other women mock her for actually having feelings. And what they say is, if she didn't feel that way, it wouldn't hurt. That's not true. That's not true at all. Some things actually just hurt your feelings. You know, take Break Room, for instance. She called me personally hurt and upset that someone said that she had a dead womb, that she could not have children. Well, recently she posted on her page that Buck has given her more than I've given Lacey, because I couldn't give I couldn't even give Lacey a healthy ... You know what? Never mind. So now she's trying to mock me and Lacey and our son. When according to what they're saying, she can't have children. And that hurt her feelings when they said that. And I told her that was wrong when that was being said. But now look at her trying to talk about my child. It's unreal. But if I were to say, well, you don't even have a child, then I would be mean. I would be wrong, but everybody would instantly see that. And it shows that you're being gaslit. And the same advice that you would give your sons in a situation like this, you should probably take. Run from this person. Run, because if you give them the same toxicity back, you're going to be a horrible person. You're going to be held under a microscope, and everybody's going to see how wrong you are. But to the person who's doing this to you, they won't be treated with the same level of accountability. So run from them. Avoid them at all costs, which is what I have to do, because dealing with these people will actually make you a worse person. It isn't that crazy. But let's continue.
Whether we realize it or not, we internalize that experience. And for a lot of women, that turns into quiet, simmering disdain for men in general. They don't say it out loud, at least not at first, but you see how quick they are to challenge men, how they assume the worst about men, how they roll their eyes at the word submission or immediately associate leadership with control. Why is that, Nikki? I'm glad you asked. Because they never had a man lead in love. They never saw a man stay when things got hard. They never saw a man protect without expecting something in return. So to them, men aren't trustworthy. They're disposable, to be used for their money and then discarded. It's not always a conscious choice. It's their survival. It's a self-protective mindset that they have. If I don't put too much faith in men, I can't be let down. If I keep the power dynamic tilted in my favor, I stay safe. But the problem with that is that mindset creates distance and dominance. And that leaves no room for a partnership. I would imagine that it's hard to respect something you were never taught had value. When a woman grows up without a man who taught her what healthy masculinity looks like, how to recognize it, respond to it, or even how to receive it, she builds her entire belief system off pain and assumption. And when she finally does encounter a good man, she either pushes him away, tries to control him, or questions his intentions to the point where he stops trying.
She's right. And I'm going to let you guys continue her video on her own page, and make sure that you subscribe to her, guys. She is going to make you a better person for listening to her content. You can tell that she puts it out to help. You can tell that this is not personal stuff to hurt someone or even to help someone, that she's just speaking her truth in a way that would be very helpful to many people. So again, when you see these groups terrorizing and lying and abusing, the best cause of action is to simply run from them and avoid them. I'll give you another example. Imagine a man that let's replace shrimp with pancake. Let's replace shrimp with tangerine. Say he's talking about her breasts, right? And he's saying you don't have breasts. You're not even a woman. You got a flapjack butt. You don't even have an ass, right? You're not a woman. And then as soon as she goes, well, you got a small penis. What if he goes, oh, I can't believe you said that. You're emasculating me. You blah, blah, blah. It would seem very cruel, right? And very literally dumb, because you was just doing all that to me. But that's what women do. They'll not all women, okay, even though it feels like it, not all women at all. But the toxic women will do this. They'll talk about his body parts. And if he talks about them back, oh my God, woe on her. She's being abused. And that's so crazy. But again, these people are setting out to do this because they don't know a better way. And so instead of trying to talk sense into them or reason with them, because nothing makes sense to them, they have deaf ears, it's best to just avoid them. Another example, they will ridicule me for ever asking the community for help for something I actually needed. I've never went to the community and said, hey guys, I don't have a job. Will y'all give me money? I lost my job for something I did, but will y'all give me money? Like OB is doing. But these same people will say, I'm a beggar for asking the public for help. When I served the public for years for free, okay, and not having a job and never asked for money because I didn't have a job, I still served them for free. I asked them for help based on the help they received from me. If you like what I'm doing, donate. Help a brother out. Donate if you like what you're getting. The same thing that any content creator would do. That's what I did because, you know, they are receiving from your work. But when I ask for help for something that is righteous to ask for, now I've seen GoFundMe's asking for a dog surgery that would get upwards of $20,000 to $30,000. I actually saw a GoFundMe of a guy saying, I'm going bald and I need hella hats. And he actually got a large amount of donations for that. These are things that are not as important as needing a surgery that could save your life. But I get called a beggar for asking for help in that regard. But those same people will not criticize OB for having a GoFundMe. They overlook it. I even asked Callie the other day, is OB a begging ass nigga? He ignored it. And he'll pretend he doesn't see it because he's not actually standing on business. Now, he says he stands up against all these things. When my brother had a GoFundMe because of all the things he's gone through surrounding losing his page, he was a begging ass nigga. But when OB talks about children, smokes at his own job, and is penalized for that very thing, and is now asking for help, nobody's calling him a begging ass nigga on that side. And it just shows that they're not being fair. And so before you ask them to be fair, just run from them and avoid them because they're not real at all. They're actually very fake themselves. And so they'll get up here on these platforms, attempting to take the high ground, the judgmental ground, when they actually display all these same things. Callie, who beat a woman to a pulp after he insulted her, will get up here and call another man an ain't shit nigga, and he's never hit a woman in his entire life. He does not belittle his woman. My wives will tell you I've never criticized what they look like, not once, and wouldn't dare do that. They can grow and be big as houses, and I'll never judge what they look like. Jamie will tell you that even when bearing Janae, she got to her heaviest, and I never insulted her. I only told her that she was beautiful. But if I got out here on this platform and said I insulted her, even if she didn't hit me and I beat her to a pulp, I would be called a bad man. But Callie insulted his baby's mother, and to the point where she physically attacked him, and then he beat her to a pulp and said that she caught the bad end of that because she should have kept her hands to herself. And they'll clearly just act like this man didn't say that. It's unreal to me. It's unreal. So when you feel yourself feeling this pit in your stomach, right, or your lack thereof, and if you feel yourself feeling this pit in the place where your stomach used to be, in your lower intestine, okay, for me specifically, just know that it's wrong and you should avoid that whole situation. Don't try to speak life to it because it's impossible. They're not here to understand truth. They're actually here to attack you. That's what they're here for. They're not here to understand truth and hold anybody else accountable. They're only here to attack you. And that's why they'll speak negatively on your cancer journey, knowing that that Amora had nearly a same cancer journey. They'll actually see my scars on my chest, but they won't actually see Amora's. When if I were to come out here and say Amora never had a cancer surgery, she only did that to get silicone implants for cosmetic reasons, they would say, Kevin, you're a horrible person. If I did a whole live saying Amora's a liar, she never actually got cancer surgery, her bald head was just because she didn't like her hair, they would say, oh, you're so wrong because you can clearly see her head being bald for likely chemo reasons. Kevin, you're overlooking all of that. But if I continue to do this, they would instantly notice how wrong I am. But this same person who suffered cancer herself will go public to do this to other people. So just run from the whole situation because it's evil, it's evil, it's evil. And you're not going to speak any life into it by trying to be righteous and getting them to see it because they're really just here to hurt you. Even if it means hurting everybody else around them, even their own family members with children who may have disabilities, or even their listeners who may have disabilities, to hurt your feelings, they'll call a child a window licker. That makes no sense. So just avoid it, yo, because it'll make you unalive one of them, and then you're in prison for life for actually taking it into your own hands. So run, men, run, women too, run, because to counter them, you'll have to lower your own morals just to do it. And that's when everybody will notice what's right and wrong. It's unreal. It's unreal. So just try and avoid it, guys. Thank you, Voice and Value, for everything that you're doing. Everything that you're doing. And I'm not going to include any other content creators in that right now because I'm giving you your flowers.
And I just appreciate how you go about your content. I really do. It's enlightening. It's challenging. It challenged me. It didn't feel good, but you need those types of things to help you get a better perspective. And you did just that. I actually think that in many ways you are a social genius in how you go about your content to get people to critically think. You are a genius in your own right. And I just appreciate you today. I encourage you guys, go to Voice and Values channel and hit that like and subscribe button so you can get access to life-changing material, okay? To that, guys, be the change you want to see. And no candle loses its flame from lighting another. And if you were to ever find yourself in the middle of chaos, it is in that chaos that you will find yourself. Let's all rise from this situation and become better people, become people who think more critically, who have a broader lens to understand what's happening in front of you so we don't contribute to toxic behavior that is destroying people's lives, okay? Let's not support any content that belittles children and parents who go through terrible things with their children. It's not right. And if you believe in God or karma, or if you just want to be a better person, that isn't good for you. It's not healthy. And like Voice and Value says, you may get the likes and the clicks, but what you won't have is longevity. And what you will lose in this is yourself and your credibility, your character. And these things are very hard to get back. For instance, if a man hits a woman once, he's likely to be called an abuser forever. Peace to you, Latay. And I was wondering if you saw my family's reception of your beautiful words, where you were telling us to rise on. We did a whole little dance to you, and we didn't know if you had saw that. We want you to check our channel out and scroll down a bit, and you'll see us actually receiving the love that you gave us, man. We're really thankful for you. Okay, but guys, I'm gone. I'm not gonna talk you to death all day. I got things I have to do myself, and I'm sure you guys do. But please give her a follow. If you weren't on this live, this wasn't a huge live. But if you see this replay, please go give her a view. Very powerful in content and critically thinking content. And I love that, for one. And if you like that type of stuff, go there, okay? She actually encouraged me to get back to reporting my content with my greatest skill, and that is to also make you think. Thank you, Voice and Value. You woke me up, okay? Peace to all of you guys.